no attempt. There was no attempt at even trying to say my name.
The Uber driver on the way over today, I got in the car and he's like, Mike? And I'm like, Mike?
That's the most interesting fuck up to a common name I've ever heard.
I'm like, have you never seen Mike before?
Totally
the most
caught him off
common
guard.
name on North America. Like,
He sees your name pop up, he just starts sweating bullets. He's like, fuck. McKay? Hello and welcome to the Pens and Pixels podcast. I'm your host, Cal G. And to my left is the coordinator extraordinaire,
Mike Kent.
And across the table from me is Ottawa's own indie darling, Owen Deery.
Hello.
Owen, who the hell are you?
My name is Owen Deery. I'm an indie game developer from Ottawa. Well, not indie. I had a publisher.
Yeah.
So I guess I'm just a game developer now. it's just reflex to say indie.
He's AAA. He's
I made
big time.
I made a tiny game.
Yeah.
But someone else paid for it, so.
Well, that's the best part.
That is the best part. So Owen's going to be joining us this podcast. He's going to be going down the news with us, as you always want to know. And afterwards, we're going to be doing an interview with him. Interesting. An interview on the podcast. How
That's
cool
exciting.
is that?
So new.
And so, yeah, it's the first of hopefully many.
Yes.
So look forward to that. And if you are here just to hear Owen's interview, I'll put a timestamp in the description below, and you can just skip straight ahead if you don't care about what we have to say about Thor and James McAvoy's career. So that's all totally fine.
I don't think anyone really cares at the end of the day.
I'm interested in this news story. I'm very interested in it. Mike,
Yes.
is there any Pens and Pixels housekeeping you'd like to attend to?
A couple small things real quick is obviously again reminding everyone about the Schoolism workshop coming up on February 4th. The tickets are available now. Go to Algonquin College. It's on Facebook. I can't get the whole thing.
Just Google Schoolism Algonquin College.
Yes, and it'll show up as the first hit. And come out and join us for that. We've gone over it. Just check out all the social media. And then the next thing, of course, is we will actually be joining in for the Capital Game Expo. Pens and Pixels, I mean. And we will be hosting, again, another Artist Alley like we did at the OIGC last year. I think it was last year.
It was last year.
You were here with me. Yeah, it was last year.
I was there.
And we'll be hosting that at the Capital Game Expo again. So we'll be opening up... again, submissions for any artist who's interested. We will have a limited amount of tables, but the tables will be free. So, free table, free chance to sell your work. That's going to be a lot of fun, so come join us for that.
Great stuff, Mike.
Yeah.
Owen.
Yeah.
Mike.
Yeah.
On to the newsy news.
Yeah.
All right, first up. Ariana Grande joins the battle in Final Fantasy Brave Exvius.
Is this our pop culture thing?
Exvius, yes, that's usually where I segue into our pop culture bit. We didn't go there this time. Do you guys know who Ariana Grande is?
No.
Unfortunately.
Oh, okay. So we got Ariana Grande is a Disney star turned musician.
Like television?
Yes,
Yeah.
she was on Wizards of Waverly Place or something.
All I know is she's always got a ponytail.
Yes, she also does. She has one song I like, but it's with Nicki Minaj and Jesse James.
So it's not really hers.
She's in it. She's partially there. Anyways, this is just a weird choice. It's this giant pop star. I can't imagine what Square Enix was thinking about like the crossover between fan bases. I don't think any teen bopper who's like, is that still a phrase?
I feel like it's
bopper?
like what is that? English? Like where they're just like English pop star, and they just picked one, and they thought it was like that's the connection. We'll get the English people with this one.
Maybe, yeah. I mean, like. It's just such an odd move. She's gonna be this weird bunny character, and she's like,
Oh god.
yeah. And there's like this sprite artwork for her and all this shit.
Maybe they're trying to get an audience aside from old dudes like you guys.
Yeah, I guess, right? Like,
Maybe they're like, we need teenagers to buy our games because they have money.
wouldn't that be crazy if Final Fantasy became like really cool to teens again or something?
Is it not? Is that a thing?
I assume
I'm too
no.
old
The
to
youngest
like this.
person I know is 19, so...
Shit.
Yeah. So, okay. So we're all old as fuck, and we don't know anything about young kids. But like, yeah. Again, I just can't see what they're aiming for. This is fucking madness.
Yeah.
Square Enix make a lot of weird decisions lately.
They've been weird stuff. Like everything that ever comes up. I mean, heck, the entire opening like intro to Final Fantasy 15 was just like, here's a movie, here's a 4-episode anime, here's like fucking.
Here's Ariana Grande's career.
Yeah.
It was all leading up to this.
Yeah,
You're
like,
welcome.
Why are you doing this stuff? Like no one else has ever done it, and it's like, what is the key between coming up with this as an idea, which anything can be an idea, to this is a good idea, this will sell things.
Mm-hmm.
Like, what's the connection between the two?
Wouldn't it have been great, like, back in the day if they were like, Britney Spears is in Banjo-Kazooie? Or some shit, you know? Like, NSYNC is a Jet Force Gemini. You're like, no, I don't want. That's not what I want. That'd be fucking crazy. This is still a weird move. Final Fantasy Excavus is like what, like a mobile game? I don't even know what it is.
I
That's
don't
the
know.
thing.
A lot of people are top playing it. That I know.
Yeah, I'm not even sure what it is. If it's a mobile game, maybe there's a bunch of people on their phone who are like Ariana Grande and they download it for free and they microtransaction the hell out of it.
Yeah.
Who knows?
Who knows?
Next up, Hideo Kojima. He's a man. He's a strange man.
He's
We
a
all
crazy
know this.
man.
He tweeted the other day, and he said, "Good morning. I had the weirdest dream again." Guys, I want to talk about what do you think Hideo Kojima considers weird? Like, this man, Hideo Kojima, the man who's giving us Death Stranding, the weird fetus baby cord, Guillermo del Toro, living tank thing. What's happening? What does he dream about?
What is his weirdest dream?
Yeah.
He
He had the weirdest dream again. Is it just regular life?
Well, you know it's going to become a game. That's the thing.
Well, I'm sure he's already like written a napkin doodle of his like latest dream to his team, and he's like, make this happen." And he just snorts coke. He drives off in a Lamborghini.
Yeah.
I'm gonna live forever.
And he's just going to be like, all right, now world tour again. Just let's go to every studio in the world.
Maybe it's just The Sims.
Oh.
There's a section in Death Stranding when you actually like you go into the baby's mind and you just play an extended Sims game. It's like Sim Park, Sim Ant. And they're like, where did he get the rights to this? EA's like really scratching their noggin about it. But
I wanted you to experience being the baby.
yes. In another life, he would have done this.
Yeah.
Fucking Hideo Kojima, he's great.
He is too much fun. That is the thing. Like, I love that we're starting to get those little like starlets, I guess you could call it, in the gaming industry.
Auteurs. We don't have a lot of them.
No, we don't. I mean, like, there's Peter Molyneux, who's like just insanity. If you've ever followed his stuff,
Yeah.
he what was Ultima was his thing, right? Wasn't it?
Gods and
Populous.
Populous?
yeah, Populous.
Oh yeah.
There's
There's Black and White.
Yeah, Black and White. That's what I'm thinking of.
Yeah.
And he did Fable. He was behind that.
Was it Fable? Was his other?
Yeah.
Yeah.
The one that was the one where I started cluing into who he was with all his like huge promises that never came true.
Yeah.
And he had that like mobile game, Tap the Cube. Did you guys know about that?
Oh yeah.
Yeah, you remember that? Yeah. I was in on that. I was tapping away at this cube. It was everyone. Millions of players were tapping away at the same cube just slowly, and he promised a life-changing thing at the center.
Yeah.
And it kind of was. The person who got at the center got to be the god in their next game, and they got royalties from it somehow.
Oh.
But apparently that all fell apart, and the studio's not doing it anymore. There's a bunch of legal things going on.
Yeah.
Very strange.
The game just never came together, really.
Yeah, I guess that was it.
They did like an open beta or whatever, and then at some point they're like, eh.
Really?
Yeah.
I didn't know about any of this.
Yeah, it was interesting.
You need to spend more time on Twitter.
Yeah, yeah, you really need to see all the goings on. That was a couple years ago at this point. That was, what was it?
I'm like the
3 years
worst
ago?
person with Twitter because like I always think that whatever I'm writing out there has to be like engaging, like important. Like, please join me for this event, or like you know, by the way, this is important news. Like the idea of just going like, you know, I just took a shit is just like not.
Yeah, well, you have to find a middle ground between those two.
I mean, the other day I tweeted about Resident Evil 7's Blood Scented Candle. And I said Blood Scented Candle will be my new band name. This is fucking stupid, right?
It's so dumb.
4-dimensional.
So is the fourth dimension scent?
Fourth dimension? Yes, scent is the fourth dimension, Owen. I think that's what they're implying.
Okay.
Fourth Dimension Scent would also be a pretty good album name.
Yeah.
Like, this is great.
Also, like, where is that? I get the idea. Okay, zombies, blood, death, gore, blood candle.
Yeah.
I guess I get like the connection and stuff, but there's nothing appealing. Who's lighting that and going
So-
like, I can't wait for the scent?
Okay, so it's a little...
15-year-olds.
It's a little more... It's for the VR experience. You're supposed to light the candle, put your VR headset on, and immerse yourself. So the scent of, like, blood, and I think there's timber in there somewhere, like, fills your nostrils as you're, like, wandering through the fucking Resident Evil 7.
You really shouldn't light things on fire when you're on VR.
No.
I don't even like having a drink nearby.
It's
Having a
not
candle.
No.
Bad idea.
That's
Yeah,
the
you're,
thing.
you're kind of like a toddler when you're in
I would
VR.
just be like have like the camera or like the PSI or something like recording one of the places burning, and he's just like looking around. He's like, "Wow, I really can feel the heat."
How'd they do that? Yeah, how many fucking CNN news stories are we gonna get with this one? Alright, on to some movie news. Marvel movie news.
Mm.
First Thor Ragnarok synopsis confirms unworthy Thor,
Mm-hmm.
teases Planet Hulk,
Mm-hmm.
and Asgard's destruction.
Okay.
So unworthy Thor, that's when he doesn't have his hammer, and that's when what's-her-face became Thor, his girlfriend there, Jane.
Is that it?
Yes.
Oh.
In the newest comics, the unworthy Thor, that's what it is. I'm assuming something similar is going to happen.
Hmm.
Probably his hammer will just get taken away because what's-her-face doesn't want to be in the movies anymore.
I was gonna say like, was again, they're not turning her into.
No. I think his hammer will probably just be like, maybe Odin takes it or something. Like, you bad. I don't want you to have this anymore.
It's just like sending him to his room.
Yeah.
Just like takes it away and gives him like a slap on the back of the head. Go to your room.
Alright, so what it says is, in Marvel Studios' Thor Ragnarok, Thor is imprisoned on the other side of the universe without his mighty hammer. There you go, so he's taken away. And finds himself in a race against time to get back to Asgard and stop Ragnarok, the destruction of his home world and the end of Asgardian civilization, at the hands of an all-powerful new threat, the ruthless Hela? Is that your name?
Yep.
Hela?
You're good.
But first, he must survive a deadly gladiatorial contest that pits him against his former ally and fellow Avenger, the Incredible Hulk.
Was that kind of a very different synopsis compared to, remember back in when they were first talking about Thor: The Dark World, they were like, oh, it's Hulk and Thor on
On a road trip.
a bro road trip.
It sounded like Final Fantasy 15, but Thor and Hulk.
Yeah, because road trips right now are like the hot thing, apparently.
Yeah.
So like now it's like not like that at all. Like this seems to have like 180'd itself away into another direction.
Yeah, I'm really not sure if
Yeah.
it's still going to be that. Or maybe they're going to fight and then they're going to be bros and bro out on their way to Hela. No, wait, that's a girl's name. Hell.
On the way to Hela?
Yeah. Oh, yeah, on the way to Hela. That still makes sense.
Yeah.
You can go somewhere. Like if I said I was
She's
going...
a location and a person.
If I said I was going to Obama, you'd know I meant the White House. I guess not anymore, but... like, possibly.
No. Yeah. That's good. Yes, you're correct.
I was just thinking of like Wizard of Oz, like when they're walking down the brick road, but they're like, "We're going to see Obama." All right, Doctor Strange confirmed to appear in Thor Ragnarok. Cool.
Yeah.
Good.
Were you not excited for this?
Yeah. No,
Okay.
I already thought it was happening. I didn't
That's
know.
the thing.
I didn't think this was news.
Yeah.
So I don't know why we're talking about it, but like,
I was gonna say.
oh,
News to me.
Yeah, there you go. Did you see Doctor Strange?
No, these movies left me behind a long time ago.
Yeah.
Oh wait. Oh, interesting. When did you stop?
I think maybe Iron Man 3.
Okay, so it's not like super long ago, but like long enough.
It's like I watched a ton of them, and then at a certain point, they just all started ending the same way. It's like, oh, this giant fortress in the sky needs exploding.
Yes.
Or there's just a bunch of faceless aliens that are destroying a city.
Yeah.
You need to
Yes.
take those guys down.
We actually talked about this last week in some pet peeves of ours.
And no, maybe it was Guardians I watched, and I was like, I get why people like it, but it's the exact same thing. And I was like, I can't trust my friends anymore to tell me this one is a good one compared to the rest. So I basically just stopped watching them entirely.
That's understandable. They have become formulaic, I'd say.
They have it starting. Well, this was one of the ones that was slightly. I mean, still at the end of the day, big bad guy. You know, save the city, blah blah blah. But they had some quirky twists that made it a little bit more interesting.
Yeah, and that's the thing. They could literally keep shoveling me the same formula, and I'd eat it up for another 5 years,
But
probably.
but that's the thing too, right? Like comic books have been shoveling us the same formula for like
Yeah.
fucking 45, 50 years, right? And we've been eating it up ever since. So there's nothing saying the movies wouldn't do it.
I mean, I watch the same Fast and the Furious movie every time it comes out.
Oh, another Fast and the Furious fan.
Oh,
Yes,
they're the best.
They're the best.
What is wrong?
Mike is always fucking curling his head down at me whenever I'm like, look, the Fast 8 trailer, and he's like, no, and I'm like, fuck.
That's it. I'm out.
Awesome, great.
I'm leaving. You can
Fate
do
of the Furious?
the rest
Dom's
of the
turning
interview.
against his family?
Yeah, it's
Oh.
ridiculous.
Yeah, it is ridiculous. Oh my god, great. It looks awesome though.
I can't get that though. Like that's the thing I don't understand is I understand watching stupid movies that are stupid for like on purpose, right? Like where they're like
They're stupid on purpose.
Yeah, it
are
kind
they?
of, yes.
It's like the first one I think was pretty serious.
Yeah.
But it was
Yes.
like 1998, and
Yeah.
so everything looked like that. But like at this point, they know what they are.
Yeah.
Yes.
A
Okay.
ridiculous fucking action movie.
Okay.
It's way over the top. They're not driving a fucking car through like a skyscraper to another skyscraper being like, this is very serious.
Yeah, they're basically superheroes now.
Oh.
Oh yeah,
They
like
just fight with cars and fly through the air and like beat each other with girders.
they do.
And
Okay.
they destroy parking structures by like stamping on them.
Like,
Oh.
dude, in the last one, The Rock, he broke his arm and it was in a cast, and then he's like, I guess they need me, and he just like flexed out of the cast and just broke off and crumbled away, and he like jumped out the window. Like that was part of the movie.
I don't know. There's just something about it that just I can't like. Again, it's
I honestly don't like the first like 2 or 3 very much personally.
It's not even just that like film. There's lots of other ones that are kind of along that lines. Like the one that had all the action heroes in it there that everyone loved. The
Expendables.
Expendables, right?
Yeah, I never
like,
saw that one.
but that's the thing. Like, no one was taking that seriously. It was just a chance to see like every action '90s action.
No,
star
but
in
those
one
were
film.
like weirdly boring.
See, but I know a lot of people who just worship them. They were like
Interesting.
they were longtime diehard fans and whatever. You know, like go down the list, and they would come out and they're like, "It's so amazing and it's so dumb," and then that's not taking you seriously. And I watched it and I was like,
Yeah, no, I kind of feel that way with those movies too. It's kind of a shrug to me.
Yeah. See, but like I like the ones where it's like they know what they're doing. It's
You like
not-
John Wick.
That's what I mean. That's literally what I was about to say. It's like John Wick isn't taking itself seriously. No, it's like doesn't play up on campy or jokes or anything like that. But at the end of the day, it's a 2-hour gun shoot. You know, like that's it. But they just did it really well. It was a lot of fun to watch, and they just turn off your brain and have a good time. Yeah. But I don't know, something about the Furious stuff and the Expendables and all of that is just like it's too in your face. Maybe is what it is.
I think maybe like if you watched Furious 7, whichever.
I don't push stuff on people anymore.
I think maybe watch that
I'm tired of people telling me superhero movies are great, so I don't tell people you got to watch Fast and the Furious because maybe you just don't like it.
It's kind of the same vibe, like Fast 7, the newer ones, anyways. The older ones,
I suppose I could literally probably walk in at any point in the series and it wouldn't matter, right? So yeah, okay.
It doesn't. There is like a storyline, kind of, but like.
But anytime a character reappears on screen, then they just go over the story.
Oh.
It's like, oh, you're this person. This happened. Let's keep going.
He's not wrong. That's basically what they do. They know who they're catering to. The person probably forgot.
Okay.
All right, moving on. It looks like we're definitely paying a visit to Arkham Asylum in Justice League.
Which was leaked from a script, was it? Remember?
Yeah. No. So that was supposed to be with Ben Affleck's Batman movie.
That's
Remember?
it.
He was supposed to go to Arkham Asylum. Yeah. Apparently we're going there before that. With Justice League movie. This shouldn't be news, but maybe we got a first look at like fucking Two-Face, Penguin.
Yeah.
We already know the Joker looks like, unfortunately. Like, you know, like we could get our first glimpse at some of those villains, which is kind of exciting.
Yeah. Well, actually, if he even shows up, we'll know that Jared Leto. Well, they have his picture right there, so.
Yeah. Imagine Batman went to Arkham Asylum and he just went to an office and opened up files of all the villains in there, and he's like, oh yes.
And it's got logos for each and every one.
Yes, exactly.
He just sits down. He's like, he opens up Photoshop and he's like putting a new villain in, and he's starting to design out a logo for him. They're like, Batman, seriously, stop!
You're not very good at this.
No.
He's just taking the Penguin Publishing for the Penguin's logo and putting it on there. He draws like angry eyebrows on it a little bit. Penguin, he's devastating. So that could be cool. I
don't mind seeing it. Like, that's the thing. Like, at the end of the day, the most iconic place with the first game, Batman, or not first Batman game, but you know what I mean, the first Dark Knight.
The first good Batman game.
Yeah, that's it. Was set in the asylum. It was the best place to put everything, right?
Yeah,
nice
absolutely.
cohesive universe. This is a stupid ass place to put it.
You think so?
In Justice League, okay, it's
I
already
guess
packed.
so.
It's already packed, and I know, and it's already just looking like a horrible shit show.
Mm-hmm.
And then they're just like. Again, remember the whole Gotham Metropolis thing? Suddenly the span between them was just a river.
Yeah. Yes. Yes.
Like, just that weird random, like, moosh together. And they're like, oh, a river, that decides 2 different cities. And I'm like, that doesn't... Anyways.
It was literally like they could have been like, over yonder. Like, it's like right there.
Yeah. It's like, we're in, like, New York. And I get the idea of the island of Manhattan. But at the end of the day, the map says New York. You know, like...
And also, it's even more inexcusable that Superman didn't know who Batman was. He was like, He's like, the Batman? And you're like, he's right over there. Dude, he's like 40 feet from you.
And like, no more than a couple of months ago, he like eviscerated the city. Like, there was explosions and alien ships.
And Clark's just like, first I'm hearing of it.
Yeah.
Like,
he's just sitting in his mansion crying, Daddy!
Alright, so, Mike kind of summed that up perfectly. That is how I feel as well. What is this one? Ben Affleck.
Mm-hmm.
Ooh, sad Ben Affleck.
Sad flick.
So there's supposed to have been a Batman movie in the works for quite a while now. Ben Affleck announced a while ago that he was going to direct it, be a writer on it, do all this shit. You know, he's going to make a good Batman film. Mm-hmm. Recently, there was a feature on Ben Affleck, a life in Affleck, basically, for his last year, and they asked him about the Batman film, and he said, "It's not a set thing, and there is no script. If it doesn't come together in a way I think is really great, I'm not going to do it." Then it says that sentiment falls in line with what Affleck told reporters in the past. But as the shoot date nears, the concern of a lack of a script is worrisome. Absolutely, it's supposed to start shooting it like in fucking March.
Yeah. What was the point of like everything else up to this point? Because they were like, it's happening, Batfleck movie, Batfleck, like everywhere, and then like, why now is he saying nope? Like,
I wonder if Ben Affleck is like getting a lot of shit online, and, you know, just from every angle, being like, Batman for Superman was fucking horrible, and like the next one was bad, and like Suicide Squad was bad, you know, all this shit. Maybe he just doesn't want to, like, if he doesn't have to, attach himself to this universe anymore. You know, he's still contracted, obviously, to like be in Justice League and be in whatever movies he's in, but
it's so weird for me as the whole DC side of the universe, and it's just like, again, like we've gone over this before, is the weird business management side of this whole thing, right? If you just look at movie making in general and what they keep doing, like, there's been this like latest trend I find with some companies that are starting to try and find some sort of responsibility in what they produce, and like Disney, which owns everything, is doing things where you're like, oh, the fans wouldn't like that. We're going to do that. Why would you do that? You have all the money. You shouldn't bother. You should just do whatever you want to do. Yeah. But the fans want this, and they do it. And you're like, wow, people are being accountable, right?
Yeah.
And it's happening more and more with certain films, certain franchises. But then fucking DC Universe is just like, well, I mean, what was the one last week where it was just, oh yeah, fucking Jesse Eisenberg coming back as Lex Luthor. Everyone's like, he sucked, get rid of him. And they're like, so we're bringing him back as a featured character. Where is the connection?
To be fair, I don't know. I think listening to your fans 100% is the worst thing in the world.
It's true.
Because, I don't know, fans, they don't know what they want most of the time.
That's true.
To be fair, the companies don't always know what's good either.
No.
But, I don't know. I think when you listen to fans, you just get tripe.
There needs to be. Jesus.
It's like, imagine if Disney making Star Wars had listened to what all the Star Wars fans wanted. It would have been horrible. Like, they listened to them a little bit, and it had some bad stuff in it that I thought was a bit over the top.
Yeah, I think there's a fine line.
Which one, the new one or the...
Yeah, I haven't seen Rogue One yet,
okay.
But the Force Awakens.
Yeah, sorry.
Like, there was a couple of things that, like, that's a bit, I don't know.
Well, like what? I'm curious.
I don't remember. I don't know.
Like particular scenes, or it was like story components?
No, just like callbacks that they would do.
Oh.
You know?
Yeah.
Yeah, and it was like, you don't really need to do that. We know it's Star Wars.
Yeah.
It feels like
if you want to see that again, you got the DVDs.
Yeah.
It kind of feels like pandering a bit when they do kind of stuff.
Yeah,
like
that's
that,
exactly what I mean.
And that's the thing, though, like the fans, like the hardcore fans. So like, there's some. I mean, Star Wars is like Trekkies, like they're hardcore, right? And they were like freaking out about their universe getting changed, and like no more canon stuff from all their books and shit, right? Yeah. And I have friends who are in the 501st, so I mean, like that's like they do $2,000 costumes, and they're like marching in parades and shit. Which I love them. They're like great. I'm not shitting on them. I did it myself once. But like when they see that stuff, it was huge. So like my partner Jed is like, he has no connection to the nerd universe. When I first met him, the only thing he had, which he beat me on, was his love for Star Wars. And when he watched that, every single time he saw anything that had the slightest cue back to the original movies, the original three, like 4, 5, and 6, he was like, oh, and I'm like, oh, that's every time. So like that is kind of required, right?
No,
so, like,
I appreciate that they need to put stuff like that in there, but like if they were to put all that in there, like let's make Jed the best movie of Star Wars he's ever seen, and put in all this callback stuff. Wouldn't be a very good movie.
No, it's true.
As much as he might enjoy it.
Yeah.
So what they're doing with these movies, Jurassic World was very much the same way. It had a lot of callbacks to the original Jurassic Park.
It did.
I'm calling them requels. Not a sequel, not a prequel. It's a requel. You are treading almost the exact same ground, like almost beat for beat in like Force Awakens case, right?
Yeah.
And I still enjoyed Force Awakens a lot.
It was a good movie.
But and I think a lot of people did. But it is like it's almost the same movie. You just did it like slightly better, or with improved graphics. Like it's
kind of funny. I was thinking about that with J.J. Abrams' work. So he did the Star Trek movies, and he's done the Star Wars movies. And then when he redid the Star Trek movies, he was, especially with the second one, he was following the Wrath of Khan like really, really religiously. Except for he just made clever changes, like swapping Kirk and Spock's place with the whole radiation thing and stuff like that. But he was following those beats really closely. I kind of wonder if the fans did scare him, because like in the first Star Trek movie, he had never watched Star Trek, was never a Star Trek fan, and he basically wiped the universe clean, right? And everyone was like, Star Trek! Like, you killed it! And then he did an amazing job, and everyone loved it. But everyone was like, you better do Wrath of Khan its justice, because, like, that's the Empire Strikes Back for
that's
Star
the
Trek.
moment.
That, like, Wrath of Khan is the Star Trek movie, everyone's Star Trek movie. And when it came up, everyone's just like, like they're like firing laser beams out of their eyes at him. They're sitting outside of his like fucking place, and they're like just going, he's gonna do it right. He's gonna do it right. And he's just sitting inside, like over his typewriter. Kirk. Like, I think he maybe got like, scared, because then like he took a fucking Star Wars, and again, huge pressure. The franchise almost killed itself.
Yeah.
And then this, and he's like, I've got to make this right. And he sees A New Hope, and he's like, okay, that's the movie I've got to mimic. And the fans are outside again, with their pitchforks and torches.
Yeah.
Like, did he just go, I know that I need to do this? And it's kind of my question in my head every time I watch it is like, did J.J. Abrams go, I know that I can't do what I did with Star Trek. Instead, I'm going to do just basically an updated revamp of A New Hope, because I know that's the only way I'm going to get this through.
Yeah.
To be good. To get an 80% on this at all, the only way I'm going to do it is to just revamp a movie I know everyone likes.
It is interesting. Well, I doubt, do you think they would even let him reboot completely?
Oh, I'm sure they probably would have.
Yeah.
Disney does seem to give a lot of people free control over their franchises, right?
Mm.
You know, like I mean, what they're doing.
And they did throw away a lot of like the books and stuff, right?
Yeah, all the books,
Star Wars stuff,
all the comic books, everything gone.
Darth Maul spider's not canon. I'm not a Star Wars fan. Like I don't watch a lot of Star Wars stuff. But like I remember I saw a picture on the internet of Darth Maul and he's like a fucking spider, and I was like, how did that happen? And I just like went back and I started like went onto Wikipedia and I was like looking it up and I was like, oh fuck, he fell into that doesn't make any sense. Great.
I love that like he got cut in half, survived the cutting in half, fell down the pit that's clearly like higher than the Empire State Building. Like the building in Dubai doesn't comply, lands and didn't liquefy, and then decides to build himself a spider body out of the parts at the bottom. Like, why a spider body?
You know, it's better than 2 legs. 8.
And also, no one checked on him.
No.
Yeah.
So I imagine Obi-Wan just sort of like kicked his legs down the shaft and just walked away.
And the Emperor didn't even like I get he probably doesn't give a shit too much about like his Sith like minions or anything. But like if it's a possibility that there's somehow a magic ability for them to survive a fall like that, it would have been like, let's just go find the body.
He seems pretty capable. Maybe we should do something with him.
I'm cloning people like right over here. If we literally just went and got a little blood splatter, I could just bring him right back. You know.
Don't waste your time. All right. Next up, James McAvoy said he'd love to return for more X-Men movies as long as it's, quote, a really good part.
You don't have any other parts, James McAvoy.
Listen to his quote. If they offer me a really good part, I'll be in. If it's not a really good part, I'll be like, I'll think about it. That's a great, as an actor too. It's like, if it's not good, I'll think about it. But I've always loved playing Charles, and I've always had pretty interesting things to do as Charles, so if that continues, then yeah, of course I'd love to take the part. James McAvoy, you're not going to get cast as anyone but Charles Xavier. They're not going to all of a sudden be like, you know what, James? This movie, you get to be Beast. And he's like, oh! And he's rubbing his hands together. Like, they're not going to start switching shit up.
Yeah. The body swapping after the movie.
James Lawrence, can you shave your head? Or James Lawrence.
James Lawrence, yeah.
What's her fucking name?
Jennifer Lawrence.
Jennifer Lawrence. Can you shave your head? You can be in the wheelchair this movie. You don't want to get painted blue.
Yeah.
Like, what the fuck?
And just bind her back and just put her in the chair.
Is this like this is almost like non-news, right? Like this is
that's exactly what I was gonna say. This sounds like an actor being asked a question and then giving a non-answer.
Yeah, he's just like, well, I guess I'd continue to do the same thing that I've always done.
Yeah. Well, it was like Jennifer Lawrence's thing where she said that she wanted to play. She would never play Mystique again, but she would play Mystique in Guardians of the Galaxy, which is again the non-answer, where she's just like basically going, "I like that movie."
Yeah.
You know, and they're all like, she doesn't know what she's talking about. And you're like, but she didn't say anything.
Last for the Marvel news, James Gunn, director of Guardians of the Galaxy, said, "Oh my god, I love Moon Knight and I have a great idea for a movie. I just wish I had the time." But no, he doesn't belong in Guardians. And someone said, "Hey, please pitch that movie." And he said, "I told them, but like I said, I don't have the time." Yeah. And he also, at some point, pitched an ideas for a Thunderbolts film, which is really cool.
Really cool.
I like fucking Thunderbolts.
Yeah. But we've talked about Moon Knight a couple of times. I even drew myself as Moon Knight for one of the ad artwork.
You did?
And you were Venom, as you should be.
As I should be.
I still love that I spent so much time on your beanie, because I couldn't figure out how to make Venom's beanie work.
Venom can do whatever he wants. He could have a fucking organic beanie. It would just slime.
That's what it was.
Yeah.
But I still say, till now, Moon Knight is basically Marvel's Batman, and he's a great character, despite the fact that it's quite obviously they're just like, Batman's black, we'll make the white one. But I still say Marvel Netflix.
Yeah, it still would fit better. But if someone had to do it, I like James Gunn a lot.
Do you watch any of the Netflix original stuff?
None of the Marvel stuff, no.
Oh, it's fine. It doesn't have to be the Marvel stuff, but like, have you watched?
Yeah. House of Cards is good. Master of None.
Really?
I love Master of None.
Master of None's the one with Aziz Ansari.
Yeah,
right? Yeah. Okay, sorry. That is great. I hate him and everything else, but I like that show.
Yeah.
I can't stand his stand-up. Everyone's like, his stand-up's so funny, and I'm like, no.
I like his stand-up too.
Oh God.
It is kind of just he just kind of like yells things at me.
Yeah.
And I'm like, I like this. I was like a toddler. Like someone shake keys for an hour and a half against me. I'm like, yes. That's fantastic arc.
There's no punchlines, and most of the time he's just up there and he's just like, ha ha ha, and I'm like, no. That's
sometimes it's not so much funny as a joke. It's just like he raised his voice at the end. Yeah. And I'm fully aware of this, but I still find it humorous.
Yeah. And he's like trying to make you laugh, and he tries to finish it off, and he's like doing basically like get it. Like it feels too many times like he's trying to prove that I made a joke, and I was just like, you can't force me to like what you're saying.
Yeah, no, that's totally valid. Yeah. He is very much that kind of comedian, but I enjoy him.
And I have to say he was actually my least favorite character from Parks and Rec as well.
No.
Yeah.
Treat yourself. All right. Key from Key and Peele, speaking of comedians, is joining Shane Black's The Predator.
More Shane Black news.
So, Owen, I don't know if you know this, but we're huge Shane Black fans. He's He's kind of an insane person.
Can you name off some movies for me? Maybe I've seen one.
Actually, Iron Man 3.
Okay.
But he did... Fuck, what did he do? Was it Die Hard?
It was, yeah, I think it
or
was...
Lethal Weapon.
Let's just look it up. He's a classic action film kind of guy, mostly.
Yeah, he does classic action films and stuff, but like, recently, he's doing... I don't know if it's
here we go. The Long Kiss Goodnight, do you remember that?
I remember it, I haven't seen it.
Yeah, it's a classic. The Nice Guys, the new movie that just came out with Russell. You have to see it, but Iron Man 3, then that's fine.
Okay.
We can just follow.
I think it's Lethal Weapon too.
And yeah, Lethal Weapon.
Like the original Lethal Weapon?
Yeah.
Yep.
And Kiss Kiss Bang Bang.
Okay.
Yeah. So he's got a long and a good career. Like he's made good movies sometimes, but the thing we love about Shane Black is that like everyone else, when they get asked a question, like you were just saying, give non-answers. Shane Black just says shit, and everyone inside of the office around him must be sitting there going, "Yeah,
like, don't say this."
Yeah, like he just says shit, and everyone's like, "Why is he saying this?" And it shows up on everything all the time. Like Shane Black said, and you're like, "Why would you ever do that?"
Like he came out and for some reason made a public announcement. He's like, "Predator is not happening in the tropics," and it was like. There was no news stories that had happened in the tropics, man. Like,
no,
you're making more news by saying it's not in the tropics. So,
and then after that, he was like, and it's happening in a city. And then everyone's like, okay, so it's going to be happening downtown. He's like, but not in the suburbs. And we're like, no one said it was going to be there, Shane.
Let's all calm down. So, yeah, Key from Key and Peele is joining Shane Black's Predator. Do you guys like Key and Peele? Do you guys like?
Yeah, I like him a lot.
Keegan-Michael Key?
I actually saw a movie with him recently called Don't Think Twice. And it's like this independent comedy film. And it's about this troupe of like improvisers in New York, and they're all trying to get on this SNL like show.
Oh, okay.
And then one of them does, and it's sort of like they've all been working at this for like a decade, and then this one guy is like, "Oh, I did it," and then they're all like, "Oh, fuck." We're like in our mid-30s, and we're just improv troupe. Oh, it's really good. Cool. I enjoyed it.
That's kind of actually based on the whole thing, because it's very common for the New York comedic scene. Is they have like Second City and the other one I forget. The Second City. I think so. Yeah. There's two
Citizens Brigade.
Upright Citizens Brigade. There's the two big improv groups, and it's Upright Citizens Brigade and Second City, and they all go there, and then that's basically their hiring pool for SNL.
Yeah.
But there are so many people who sit in that for so long, waiting for a chance to get into SNL. And every SNL person's story is like, I was in Second City doing like live tours and shit like that for like ever until Lorne Michaels was like you. So Lorne Michaels sounds like the most insane person, and I want to meet him so bad. It's like everything. Like I know it's supposed to be like a joke with all of them. They're like, he's so crazy, but then when they're sitting down and they're having like a freaking Barbara Walters interview, and they're like, and Lorne Michaels, and he like came in on one of those like Dr. Seuss bikes, and he was like, and I'm like, what? Is this a normal day? Like, he sounds really crazy and old, and I kind of want to be him and meet him.
Is he just like an old person who has like so much sway? It doesn't matter what he does at this point?
Pretty much. Like, yeah, he is SNL and always has been, basically.
It must be great to be that kind of person.
Yeah.
I strive to be that one day.
Yeah. And I never really see any pictures of him. He's just always in this office, and everyone talks about him in like the third person like way. Like he's in this room, and they all go to it. It's 30 Rock's very much based on it with Alec Baldwin's character.
Oh, okay. Yeah. All right. I like Alec Baldwin. This next story is something that I just saw today. I thought it was pretty crazy. It's an interview with the composer with Rogue One, or for Rogue One rather, and his name is Michael Giacchino. I think that's how you say it.
Giacchino or something.
Giacchino?
Yeah, he does a lot of stuff with J.J. Abrams.
Yes, that's how he got this job. It sounds like.
Yeah, he did the Lost soundtrack.
Oh, cool.
It was like one of his first big things.
Neat.
So he composed the entire Rogue One soundtrack in 4 or 5 weeks. He said, "Okay, I had 4.5 weeks to write the score for this whole thing." Holy moly! Oh my! Wow! There was a change in the whole thing, and they called me and said, "Look, we would like for you to do this. Can you do it?" And I was like, "Wait, okay. When are you recording?" And they were like, "In 4.5 weeks." And I was like, "Oh my!" So but the nerd part of my brain, the part that grew up with Star Wars, that sat out in the backyard playing with action figures, was like, "Just give me the movie. I know what to do with it. Give it to me. Give it to me." Laughter. And then, thank God, on their end, they were just like, "Just please let there be music in our movie." That's insane, right? Like, how does that happen so late? Like,
well, that movie had a lot of production issues.
It did. Well, it had reshoots, right? But I just kind of figured every movie has reshoots. Like, what's the big deal? But did it show? Like, it sounds like you did a great job.
No, it was great. It was a really good work. The movie itself had. I'll have two things about the actual soundtrack that I did really complain about, and this isn't a spoiler for you, and if ever you go and see it, is they didn't do the scroll in the beginning, which everyone freaked out about. And I'm like, it's words on a screen. But when it came in, they have that usual music that's like the usual
Yeah.
entrance. So it starts off kind of with this big banging horn sound. It sounds like it's going to start that, and it just cuts to like this low background sound, and you're just like waiting for it to do the like Star Wars, like let's get excited.
Yeah.
And it just holds there the whole time. And I'm just like, it was like they knew the scroll wasn't there, and he knew it wasn't there, and they are all just like on the keyboard for a second, and then they just waited for the scene to pass, and they're like, okay, it's over, we can go back to our work.
Imagine it was like, what, Millennium Falcon, and it's just like going through the air, and they didn't get this guy, and they were just like, fuck, they started ripping things from the movies. It's like fucking Jurassic Park, like, it's a dinosaur. They're like, did anyone notice? They're like, okay.
Well, you've done the composure for the game recently.
Actually, yeah, how would you feel about getting 4.5 weeks to do an entire movie?
Stressful, I guess. So you're into horror movies. Did you see It Follows?
Yes.
Okay, so that's got a great soundtrack.
Disasterpiece.
Disasterpiece, who did the music for Fez, bringing it back to games.
Yep.
And I think I read an interview with him, and he only had a handful of weeks to do the soundtrack for that.
Oh, no way.
And I was really impressed with that.
No,
So,
It Follows has like iconic soundtrack.
Yeah,
like,
yeah,
really
exactly.
good, really
it's the thing that everyone mentions after they've seen it. And so I don't know, I guess I hope I could live up to something like that.
Yeah, I guess, like, it just seems like so little time, and I don't know what goes into movie production. Maybe that's the norm. I have no fucking idea.
Well, I mean, in the studio experience, I mean, like, again, with our experience, like, Ottawa stuff is smaller, but even in the larger studios, you never went to Montreal, did you, with the rest of them? No, you didn't. With the rest of them. We're talking about, we'll get into the interview. But like, in the big studios, it's even worse, is, like, there can be so many changes just, like, last minute, you know, like, you'll have the game almost ready to ship, and they're just like, nope. You know, like, you gotta change this whole thing, and you're like, you got 4 weeks to do it.
This is Super Mario 1-1. What's this doing in Call of Duty? Like,
Yeah.
How did this happen? You fired the gun and just, whoop, like, first level comes out.
But it's very common, like, in the workplace, like, whenever I hear these things, and they're all like, oh my god, the crunch thing, I'm like, that sounds like a Tuesday. You know? Probably one of the reasons why you decided to kind of go solo with the whole thing is you get a little bit more control over...
Don't spoil the interview.
It's not the interview, but...
Yeah, I guess so.
Yeah.
There's positives and negatives of everything like that.
Of course,
so.
yeah.
Pros and cons.
Yes.
Here's a thing that's only a con. As we know, that Carrie Fisher passed away, unfortunately. And rumor has it that Princess Leia had a large role in Star Wars Episode 9, and everyone is unsure how to proceed.
That's an interesting question. So I was watching a movie reviewer who asked, so this is, again, not a spoiler for you because you see the movie, but they brought back the general from New Hope there, the one who was like, who blew up her planet.
Moff Tarkin.
That's it, thank you. But they brought him back literally in pure CG.
Right.
And they're talking about whether or not they cut Carrie Fisher out or they CG her in like they did in Rebel. Now that this technology exists, it was jarring at first because it's still very clearly a CG character, and I know he's dead, so I know he didn't just like come back to life for the movie.
You're under contract.
This has got like a team of necromancers in the basement. It's like, get him out!
We don't have it. It's fucking Disney.
And they're sitting over the whole time.
It's 4 Mickey Mouse in a robe. There's like that high pitched laugh. It's fucking green light swirling around them.
The Fantasia music's playing.
Fulfill your contract and then you can rest. Like, anyways.
But like, I mean, it's a question to ask everyone right here: is which one do you agree with? Is the CG okay or isn't it?
I don't know. It's a weird question.
Is it respectful or disrespectful? Yeah, it's a hard one to kind of roll around, but I mean...
Well, it's weird, because, like, in normal story, if Carrie Fisher was just like, fuck Star Wars, I don't want to do it anymore, they would recast her, right? And, like, it would be fine.
It would be different, yeah.
Do you think they would?
I think so. I mean...
Recast Princess Leia? I don't know.
Oh, maybe not. I was just thinking of Batman Begins, and then the next one, it was like,
no, that's different.
It's true. It's not.
It's true. It's not the same.
It's true. She's like a major part of Star Wars, right?
Yeah.
But, like, I don't know. Well, if she did, if she said fuck it and didn't want to do it anymore, is it the same question, or is it because she's dead? Is it disrespectful, or is it even more disrespectful if she was like, fuck Star Wars, and they use her likeness on screen because they own it, you know?
Well, to take it in the context of like how it is in the real world right now, and the thing is that she loved the franchise. She was always happy to have been a part of it, and she was going to be in this movie. She was excited to be part of them again. That was very clear.
Yeah.
You know, she's gone, and now is the respectful thing to like respect her memory and have her removed from the screen, or is it more respectful to try and let her finish the story? And that's the other thing I've always heard from some people is we need to finish Princess Leia's story.
I think you can strike a middle ground to bring it back to Fast and the Furious.
Thank God.
Everything comes back.
Yeah, everything comes back. So, I mean, Paul Walker, he died in the middle of shooting. And so they just, rearranged the story, reshot some things, brought his brothers in and put CG masks on him for some shots. And so he was a lot less in the story, but he was definitely there. Yeah. And then they were able to give him a send-off, And so I think that's... I don't know, that felt like a good way to do it, rather than just be like, oh, he's still alive, he's right here. Look at him.
Yeah, no, that's true. Episode 8's the next one, right?
Yeah.
So she's already done filming that. So let's say she does something, she becomes the next Darth Vader in the next film or whatever. I don't know, some twist, right? And then in episode 9 is all of a sudden are they like, shit, man, we can't rewrite her not being Darth Vader. Like at the beginning of the film, she's like, oh no, I don't want to be evil.
I'd even be fine if they were just holograph. Because those things are always shaky.
Yeah, that's a good idea.
That's a great. Yeah, that would be good. I think that would probably be fine, right?
I'm down with that one. That's a good one.
It's just a glow.
Disney. Yeah. If you want to use that idea, contact Owen. He's at Owen Deery on Twitter.
Yeah.
All right. Next up, Ridley Scott thinks superhero movies are pretty dumb.
I think Owen's agreeing with him right now.
I mean, are you guys think they're super intellectual?
No.
I mean, yeah, they are.
Yeah,
they're dumb.
Yeah.
I'm not saying they're bad.
Oh, yeah, no,
they're dumb.
Yeah, they're dumb, for sure.
Yeah. That's, I mean, again, you like Fast and the Furious, but you like it because it's dumb.
Yeah.
I don't find anything that's trying too deep and intellectual into it, which I kind of find is the funny thing about, the Marvel Netflix series. They're trying to play it up like they're really deep and dark. And strangely enough, they're getting horribly boring and repetitive faster than anything else.
Yeah.
While the dumb action splash is more addictive and more fun.
More entertaining.
And more entertaining now at this point, which is why they're like, oh, Iron Fist is going to be more punchy. And you're like, okay.
He's got the glow fist.
Yeah. So that's the thing, is at the end of the day, it's a hero. I mean, it doesn't matter what it is. I mean, the next character is fucking.
What he said in that interview was basically he's like, yeah, I don't want to do them. Not my thing.
Yeah.
But the headlines Ridley Scott hates Stan Lee, that kind of thing. You're like, what? That's not. I hate fucking headlines like that, All right, next up, get into the gaming news. Hideki Itsuno to announce new game in 2017.
So this is Cal desperately clinging to the idea that
this is the man who directed Devil May Cry 3 and 4. Devil May Cry, Owen, is one of my favorite series. The old Devil May Cry. I like the reboot by Ninja Theory just fine, but it's not Devil May Cry I know and love.
No.
So I'm clinging on to every piece of news where Devil May Cry could possibly come back. Owen, do you like Devil May Cry?
Never played it.
Or should
I
you
know
get out of my house?
literally nothing about them.
That's good.
Oh.
I'm assuming the devil is in them.
Yeah, you're right.
Right.
He's a half demon man. That's basically what it does.
Yeah, Metal Gear Solid, Final Fantasy, Devil May Cry, anything like that. No knowledge.
No, really?
Which is really entertaining as a game developer, because everyone else is constantly talking about them, and I just get bits and pieces of information. And so for the past couple weeks, it's just been people posting images of anime guys on a road trip.
Yeah,
that's Final Fantasy.
Yeah, and I was like, oh, weird.
Yeah. You were my go-to for most of the indie stuff every single time, every day, because Tegan would come up and bug you, and then you'd whip out some indie game title that I had no clue existed, because I wasn't in the indie scene at the time. You were the go-to for all of that, so that way I could at least keep up in context with everyone else in the class who was like, Undertale or something, and I'm like, under what?
There are even too many indie games now.
There are way too many now.
Fractions too.
Yeah.
Owen, because you just said this, that you don't know what Metal Gear is, what do you think Metal Gear is?
It seems sort of like a fucked up military sort of stealth infiltration mercenary game.
Yeah.
That's not wrong.
Sneak around and you kill dudes.
Yeah.
See, for a long time I had a very loose understanding of Star Wars. I've never seen the Star Wars movies aside from Force Awakens.
Okay.
And so when people would ask me what do you think it is, they would always be really entertained by what I thought it was.
Right.
And so I was wondering if you knew, because I knew some of the minutia just from cultural osmosis, right, of Star Wars. I knew that there was a Chewbacca, and there was Leia was Luke's sister, but they kissed at some point, and that would have been weird. Shit like that, where I knew stuff. Do you know any of the specifics about Metal Gear at all?
Sort of bits and pieces. I don't think I could bring up anything specific.
Like Shadow Moses? Is that a
No.
character or a place? We should just do a quiz.
There's an old snake at some point.
Yeah.
Yes.
They're sneaking around under a box.
Yep.
What else is there?
There's a liquid snake.
there a liquid snake?
There's a solidus snake and a solid snake.
The thing is that what you know is about as much as I know, and I've played the games. Because
they're fucking insane.
They're insane. Like the Wikipedia on it is like one entrance is like I'm like, all right, I'm gonna click on what a fucking gun is, and they're like, this gun has 2,000 years of history, and it like writes it out, and I'm like, no.
There's an organization called Lale Lule Lo, and they say it like 9,000 times in Metal Gear Solid 4.
Yeah,
and they say it like with complete seriousness constantly.
Yeah.
Lale Lule Lo. What's that?
It's like they're trying to be some sort of like dark like terrorist organization, and they just decided to like name themselves their nursery.
I'm sure there's a reason for it. I have no idea.
It's Hideo Kojima again.
Next up, Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles: Mutants in Manhattan, delisted under a year after release. This is I don't care. I don't care that's delisted.
No.
What I do care about
delisted.
What
do you mean by delisted?
Oh, so it got taken off Steam. It just got taken off.
Oh, it's a game. I thought it was a movie now.
Yeah, no. This is
you gotta be specific.
This is all games.
Okay.
Sorry.
Okay, yeah.
I'm a huge Ninja Turtles fan.
You are a huge Ninja.
They have not had a good game since like I was a kid on the NES.
Yeah.
Platinum Studios developed this. They're the guys who did Bayonetta and shit. Mm-hmm. And like, I thought that was like, if someone asked me like what's your dream game? I would have been like Ninja Turtles by Platinum, and they made it, and it turned out horrible. So now that this is gone, and I don't think Activision has a license anymore,
no.
I'm crossing my fingers that like some good studio buys them, like Rocksteady makes it, or something, you know?
Yeah. I don't know. It's a franchise. It's I mean, so far, strangely enough, the only franchise I can think of. Well, no, there's others, but like taking a classic. What is it called? No, we got a classic franchise like Power Rangers, Ninja Turtles, Transformers. The one that's been tackled even slightly correctly is Voltron by the team that did Avatar and all that.
Yeah.
The new anime is a really wonderful rendition of trying to just make something that was about people who ride lions and turn it into a robot into just being stupid and fun, right? But that's the thing. We've got this new Power Rangers fuckery. It's insane what's happening with that movie. I don't want to talk about it anymore because every single thing that releases from it, you're just like, what? But Ninja Turtles. I'm pointing at one. Look, it's on his shelf. Is the same thing. Like they didn't try and take it and put it in its place. Where it's Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles.
Yeah.
Like, why are you trying to make this anything else other than pizza time?
Well, to be fair, the video game looked like it was all in tone with the Ninja Turtles. It just played shittily. So that's what I just want a good one.
Well, that's what I mean. So the game played tonally, and then the movies were playing into some other weird tone, and then like there's also everyone who clings to the comic book version, which is the dark and slashy, gritty version. Yeah. Like, what version are you supposed to do? And it's like, at the end of the day, no one's going to take something called Ninja Turtles that eat pizza and be like, oh, it should be violent, like.
But what if Christopher Nolan got his hands on Ninja Turtles? That would be fucking amazing. All right, next
up. We're the
up.
turtles this city deserves.
That's right. That would be fucking badass. All right.
Everyone would have to be freaking out constantly.
Yeah.
What the fuck is that?
That thing's gross. Yeah, that would be. Yeah, they touch someone, they get fucking salmonella. Like,
there's a giant,
don't save me.
The giant citywide salmonella outbreak because they're sliding down buildings and everything.
We're saving it. Yeah. Cowabunga! Gross! Okay. Laura Kate Dale. She's been a reliable source for Nintendo Switch leaks for the past year.
Are you excited for the Nintendo Switch Home?
I don't get excited anymore. The Switch does look cool. But it's like, I don't know. I can't get excited about a video game console anymore.
That's true.
That was a great best answer you possibly had. Alright. Laura Kate Dale says, contrary to my past report on Breath of the Wild release date, it is coming 100% at Switch launch in North America in March. Have seen finalized materials.
How is she getting away with the leaks?
I don't know. I think she just knows someone at Nintendo. Yeah. I mean, she's free to say whatever she wants, right?
Yeah.
I think someone's just giving her this information, and she's like, all right, I'm going to leak this.
Well, it's just neat that it's confirmed. You and I have both said we don't care about that game. So.
No, but it's cool that it's like actually launching with something good. Or not, well, not, but a lot of people looking forward to it.
Yeah, a lot of people.
Let's not say it's good yet.
Yes.
But, yeah.
I can't publicly shame Zelda because then we'll just lose all of our listeners in one shot, I bet.
Yeah, sorry, I was just thinking about Owen. It's like, I've never been excited. What was the last thing you were excited for, out of curiosity? You're like, when I was 12.
Left 4 Dead 2?
I was excited about that.
This is genuinely tough. I don't know. I was excited to release my game because I wanted to finish it, I guess.
Yeah. Well, that's understandable.
I was excited for Star Wars, the last Star Wars.
Hey, there you go.
There we go.
Hey,
That's good.
That's good enough. He's been excited from the last year, folks. Get on the
One.
hype train. All right. These 2 bits are kind of non-news, and I thought it was weird that the companies chose to do this, but BioWare came out and said, no Mass Effect Andromeda for the Nintendo Switch. Don't know why they said it, but they did. Then Atlas came out and said, Persona 5 is not coming out on the Switch. Neither is Yakuza 0. Just in case you were wondering, everybody.
Well, it's just to quell the rumors beforehand, because the moment a game comes out, everyone's like, it's going to be on PC, and you're like, but they've never released a PC title ever. Why would anyone claim that?
Yeah, it's just weird that, they have to.
The Switch is coming out that does not look like a game that would have Mass Effect on it. Like,
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah, were enough people tweeting at them, is this on the Switch? Should I still hold off buying an Xbox, replace it? I don't know what they're fucking...
Yeah.
Anyways.
Well, everyone started claiming when the Switch released, they're all like, so-and-so is going to be on the Switch. And you're like, no? In what universe have they ever worked with Nintendo? Why are you even making this a claim?
Nintendo's always like, we have great third-party support. And then it's like, you look over and the fucking... We use, a barren wasteland of, nothing. You're just like, where? What? What are you talking about?
I mean, have you ever... Is there indie games for Nintendo products?
Yeah, Star Wars?
Yeah,
Yeah,
shit,
they released on Wii U.
Was it?
Yeah.
Oh, fuck.
They brought a dev kit to Dirty Rectangle so they could show off their new modes.
Really?
Yeah, they made a special mode with the gamepad where you can drop stuff on the Star Walls.
Oh, cool.
Is that new? Because I know they're on PS4 as well.
Yeah, I don't know. It was a couple years ago, I think.
Yeah.
Was it on Wii U first and then PS4?
I think it was PC and PS4 and then Wii U.
Okay.
Yeah.
That makes sense.
Okay, so it was a progress. They brought it over. That's neat.
Hey, that's cool.
I didn't follow.
Do they call them Nindies? Is that a thing? Nintendo Indies? Nindies?
Did you just make this up because it was a great name? And
I don't know. I don't. My brain just went to it, so I'm like, that's what I'm asking. Am I plagiarizing this?
I've
I've
never
never
Or should
heard
I
that.
fucking?
You're gonna have to coin a phrase.
Beyond Good and Evil 2 is apparently a Switch timed exclusive. This is just a rumor. Take this with a grain of salt, but it was also said by Laura. Now, that game got announced fucking 8 years ago.
Yeah.
That was the one with the pig man and the whatever, the photographer woman.
I never played it.
Oh, you never played Beyond Good and Evil?
No.
Well, a lot of people didn't, and that's why it probably hasn't had a sequel yet.
Ah. I've heard the title name keep popping up all the time.
I could totally see this happening.
Okay.
Because Nintendo, for some reason, in the middle of the Wii U's lifespan, was like, we're gonna fund Bayonetta 2, and everyone lost their fucking mind. They were like, no, we don't want a fucking Nintendo. I don't want to buy a Wii U for Bayonetta
right,
2.
I remember this.
Blah blah blah, and I agree. I didn't buy a Wii U for Bayonetta 2, even though Bayonetta is one of my favorite games of all time. So but I wasn't outraged by it. But I could totally see them doing this because I think it gets a niche market to go. Even though you're enraged by it, you're like, well, I like Bayonetta. I love Beyond Good and Evil. I have to fucking give in, right? That's
I
just what it is.
when I did the Wii, and I was upset that I ever bought that thing, and well, it's just I'm like, all right, waggle my stick, and everything's good. That was it. I remember playing that with the freaking Raging Rabbits or whatever.
Oh yeah, the Ubisoft one. Right?
Yeah. And that everyone would come over and play that for hours, and I'm like, get out of my house. And then I was like, all right, I'm going to sit down and play Zelda on that. And I was literally on my couch, my legs up, basically because you're sitting with them propped, right? And I'm doing this. Waggling them between my legs, and I'm like, what am I doing in my house right now?
You get an out-of-body experience, you're like, oh, it's so dumb.
I do. So that just dropped it for me. And then after that, I always like playing the Smash Brothers games. They're always just a lot of fun to play with friends.
Totally.
And of course, one came out on the Wii U, and I was not buying a Wii U for fucking Smash Brothers.
No, absolutely not.
No. So, I totally understand why it's not. Nintendo's such a weird company because they're very closed off, I feel. I don't know if this is actually the case because I've never done anything with a Nintendo product ever. But it seems like all their games are just theirs, obviously. And then dev-wise, I never really ran into a company that was we're developing for Nintendo. Unless it was Warner Brother Games or something like that.
They're definitely a bit more closed off than, say, Microsoft or Sony in that regard.
Yeah.
I've never tried to get any dev stuff from them,
No.
but I've heard it was difficult, and they seem to be trying to open it up.
Really?
They opened up a portal for Switch as soon as they announced it.
Okay.
That's good.
But I haven't investigated it, so I couldn't tell you.
No. I was always kind of curious also on the technology side of it, right? Because it's always been behind the current standard from PC to, the difference between working on PC to, PS4 is a big difference with the frame rates and everything and all that. Everyone complains about the two. But then, Nintendo was, 2 steps behind all of that. You know?
Yeah.
Like, what do you do when you get a game and you're like, well, I'm going to downgrade it to 640? You know, like...
Yeah.
They've always been like a step behind. Like everyone else is like, we're on the internet. They're like, no. They're like, we're HD. They're like, nah, that'll never catch on. And they're like stuck in a standard def, like internetless, like past, you know. Yeah, they've always been kind of a strange company, and they've been making a lot of mistakes because they finally have been giving people their franchises. They gave Platinum Star Fox Zero. They fucked it up.
Yep.
They actually that's not always true though. They gave Metroid to what is their name? Retro Studios, I believe. And Metroid Prime's great. Metroid Prime's awesome. So
that's the Metroid Prime game.
next up, last bit of news: Mass Effect Andromeda's character system is worrying fans. Mike, you and I just watched this trailer beforehand. Owen, do you care all about Mass Effect?
No, I tried to play the first one like a dozen times. Couldn't do it.
No.
I understand that because I love these games now, but I read a magazine about Mass Effect and I was like, this sounds incredible. And I'm not even like a huge sci-fi fan, but I was like, this sounds fucking awesome. So I pre-ordered the game before I even had an Xbox 360. Then I got an Xbox 360. I fucking picked it up. I started that game like 40 minutes in. I'm talking to this weird jellyfish thing. And I was like, this sucks. And I put it down. And then like a year or 2 later, like for some reason I picked it back up again. I was like, that sounds awesome. Like I got in the same headspace I did the first time.
Yeah.
And then I finally and I got past whatever barrier I did the first time, and I was like, oh, this is dope now. But like I was totally there with you, and I understood.
Literally on my last try, I tried making the dumbest looking character possible, so that when I got bored with the game, I just be looking at my character and be like, that guy looks like an idiot.
I love
and it actually got me further, but
it's okay. It was lips clipping through his eye and shit.
Basically.
Yeah. Mike, you watched this trailer with
Yeah.
me. What did you think? I thought it looked fine. I think it looks like an interesting system.
It looks like Mass Effect.
Yeah.
The menu system, this is a thing in gaming in general, and I think you can probably chime in on this, is that where the fuck are the UI designers? Like, every menu system seems to be getting worse.
I couldn't tell you, I don't know.
No, I know.
It's very hit and miss. Every time I think people have it, like...
Well, here's a good example
games don't
for
copy
you.
the trend.
You just finished Final Fantasy 15. How fucking small is the type in that menu?
Yeah, that was a mistake.
Like, you have a full 4K TV and this thing's up and the type is like this big. And I don't care if you're fucking 40 years old or 15, you're going, what does that say? And it's all white with like no leading in between and squished together.
Yeah, last Christmas I played Arkham Knight.
Oh god, yeah.
And usually I can take off my glasses to play games on the PlayStation because it's close enough and big enough.
Yeah.
But like I couldn't read what it was telling me to do.
Yeah,
So,
the little tiny white line at the bottom, and you're like, go here, and you're like...
I can appreciate from a developer standpoint that they have a million things they need to cram on the screen.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's weird.
But the thing I always liked, the thing I always liked was Dead Space. Dead Space 1, 2, and 3, they all had the same thing where everything was just, like, there was no UI around your fucking character. It was all just, like, his health's on his fucking back and his...
See, that's the thing, like, it was funny enough, like, in our year, during our UI class, that was, like, everyone's celebrated UI thing. They're all like, oh, the health bar on his back, that's so clever. Yes, it was very clever. But that system will only ever work in that game, because if you ever do it again, they're going to go, like, you copied the fucking...
Oh, yeah, I mean, like, you're playing Mirror's Edge, you can't just all of a sudden have, like, a fucking health bar on his back. Just be like, oh, yes, she carries that around.
Yeah.
No,
but the thing is also assign that to tell someone else, you've got to do something as original and creative as the back health bar in every game. Like, sit down and work out in your heads another way of making something that clever. It's, like, such a challenge, such a design challenge. You're rolling it in your head forever.
Robot. Back of his head has a smiley face or a sad face. Sad face, you're dead. I'm Hideo Kojima. Bow to me.
And you have to have a robot in the game.
Well, you just make him a robot. What game wouldn't work better if they were a robot?
The robot switch.
Yeah.
The robot.
Yeah, isn't there just a guy? Yeah, it's a switch you guys flip and it's just robot all of a sudden?
Yeah.
I thought this system looked cool, actually. I thought that the idea of switching classes on the fly, what people are worried about is that in previous Mass Effect games you chose, I'm a soldier, or I'm a biotic, or I'm an engineer, whatever the fuck. And in this one, it seems like you can switch on the fly, and you'll have different skill loadouts for each one. So you can, but if you want, you could totally, I'm only a soldier, and you can only level that up if you want. You don't need to do any of the things. But if you want, you can have some of these skills, whatever tickles your fancy. And I think that's, like, more open. Like, that's better for the player, right? Like,
I'm fine with that.
Yeah. Like, I don't really see how that's worrying, but people are like, oh, the death of the RPG, ugh, you know?
Well, it's the whole, like, my franchise don't make changes.
Yeah. It's like, if they made changes that drastic to the character system, they probably made other drastic changes in the game otherwise.
Yeah.
So if they kept the character system you wanted and put it in with all the other changes they made, it would probably be a terrible game.
Yeah.
So, I don't know.
Yeah.
Goes back to listening to the fans. Don't. It's all tripe, says Owen. And you can listen to what else Owen has to say right after the break when we do an interview with him. So stay tuned.
The device can be useful for combating aberrant emotions. Contact with magnetic devices is forbidden.
Okay. Hello and welcome to the Owen Deery interview. We can talk in a real slow NPR voice, real dulcet tones. I'm your host, Cal G, and to my left is the coordinator extraordinaire.
I can.
And across from me
Let's break the tone.
is Ottawa's indie sensation, Owen Deery.
Yeah.
Hello.
There we go.
So we're going to be interviewing Owen in this segment. Owen, who are you?
Yeah, introduce yourself.
Introduce yourself.
Tell us about what you do as your job, and obviously the game that you released recently.
Right, so I make games on my own in Ottawa by myself. I run it. I don't like to call it a studio because it's basically just me sitting at a computer in my apartment.
But do you still use the company name for what you do?
Yeah, when you make games for consoles, you have to become a corporation. So
Did you have to incorporate?
Unfortunately, I am a CEO.
Did you incorporate? Oh my god, tax-wise, that's
it's the worst.
It's the worst thing you could ever do as an independent. You have to?
I had to, yeah, because basically, like, if I'm working with, Adult Swim or Sony, like, they don't want to work with some dude, they need to work with a corporation.
Shit. I didn't know that. Oh my god.
Yeah, like, I had to go to the bank and set up business accounts and everything.
Yeah, I know.
And I was talking to, the small business consultant who was helping me set everything up. He's like, why are you incorporating?
Yeah.
I'm like, because I have to. He's like, you should bill them for these expenses because it's dumb for you to become a corporation. But unfortunately, I am.
You have to because then you have to pay double taxes on the fact that you have to pay yourself a salary, so you pay for the tax on your company and on your salary. Yeah. That's awful.
So I run an incorporated studio.
Wow, God. Yeah.
And what was the game you released?
I released Small Radios, Big Televisions on Steam and PlayStation in November.
Yeah.
Very cool.
And what kind of game is it? Just so
sort of an exploration adventure game.
Yeah.
I don't know. It's really chill.
It is really chill.
It is really chill.
Yeah.
There's no score. You can't die. Just sit
It's
back
got,
and enjoy it.
Yeah, puzzle components to it.
Yeah. Yep.
I wanted to ask what were the challenges of being a one-person studio. You kind of answered that with that. But what else?
That was the easy part.
Wearing all the hats has got to be...
Yeah, it's tough, but it's fun because you get to hop around a lot. Like if I had spent 2.5 years doing nothing but programming, I probably wouldn't have finished the game. But the fact is, I can, spend 4 or 5 days programming stuff nonstop, and then I can take a break. Like, okay, I'll just work on music for 2 days, and that's a good way to sort of chill out and unwind. So
yeah, you get to do all the stuff, just jump around, do whatever you want.
Yeah,
you composed the entire soundtrack yourself.
Yep.
So you're also a musician.
Yes.
Well, you are actually. Yeah. Do you have a band that you?
Yes, I had a band. We just played our last show actually.
Oh.
Oh shit.
Everyone is moving away. So.
Oh no, the goodbye tour.
Yes.
Yeah. I never actually went. Did I ever go and see you play? I should have gone and seen you play.
Mike asking the hard questions. Am I a good friend?
I think I've seen you play. That's why I'm curious. Like, if I knew that I had never seen you play, I just don't think I ever came up and said hi. I probably slinked out slowly, like Homer fading into the bush.
Yeah, that's my style too.
Yeah. I kind of remember that. Actually, the kind of a background. This one part is Owen Deery is a friend of mine from school. Him and I both took the same, not same year. It's the same 3 years. Of the program at Algonquin game development course at Algonquin College. We both graduated, luckily. I only graduated because of him, which I admit openly, because I was an artist forcing myself through a coding course, and I had such a hard time once we got into graphics programming that I couldn't get my head around it no matter what I did, so I basically just kept running into every TA moment he had available and just being like, save me!
Only now have I sort of kind of figured out graphics programming.
Yeah.
Only now I'm like, oh, I kind of get it. Yeah. Okay.
I didn't really feel like it was a very much of a deep end thing, and that's kind of one of my questions actually, is for you, I would almost say you're more of a graphics programmer, like that's your forte?
Yeah, programming is like my thing.
Yeah. And you like to do the graphics programming?
Yeah, I think it's fun because you can. It's a good way to make art.
Yeah.
I don't like programming like boring stuff. I like making games.
Yeah.
And I like making art, and graphics are a fun part of games.
Yeah. Well, that's the thing. Like, if anyone has Twitter, which you should all probably have Twitter, is follow Owen on Twitter at Owen Deery.
At Owen Deery.
Yeah, Owen Deery. Sorry, the Drury thing comes from the school days when someone used to
I'm
call
sure
it
it'll be
Owen.
written on the website.
Yeah, it will be up, and we'll put it in the notes. But follow him. He does amazing work with shaders, and he posts up lots of really great GIFs of the work that he does. But that's kind of an interesting thing about you and your work in general is you always, and from back in the day in school until now, you've always had a kind of like a visual, almost artistic sense of being a developer. I know lots of developers out there currently that are all about logic problems and solving like, AI and things like that, right? But you were always, no matter what part of the team you were on, you were the guy who made the visuals happen, right? Like everyone else was like, I want this to move, and they would figure out how to make it move logically, but nothing happened on screen.
Yeah.
You were the visual guy. Did you always kind of tie yourself into wanting to be like, in your programming world, you were like, I want to focus in on...
Yeah, it was never like something that I intended to focus on.
Oh, okay.
Like even when I joined school, I had never programmed before, and I had I think I like looked at programming and I was like, oh, I don't get this. So I went into school. I just gave up immediately. So when I went into school, I figured I was going to be like a level designer or a 3D modeler or something.
Really?
Yeah, because I didn't know how to program, and I figured it's like, it's not for me. I'll just
I never
do
got
something
that sense at all.
Yeah, I mean, as soon as I sort of went into school, it sort of clicked, and I was like, oh, okay, programmer, perfect. But so even before that, like all when I was in high school, I was basically just making levels in Unreal Tournament, and so that's all just like building spaces, doing textures, working on particle effects. And then when I got into programming, it's like, oh, now I can build those myself. Yeah. And so that's, I guess, how that came together.
Very cool. Very cool.
I saw that you were posting as you were developing in TIG forums.
Yes.
Yes, as you were going. And it was like, I was looking at the thread, and it was like from 2013 or 2014 up until now.
Summer 2014.
Yeah, but it was 2014. Yeah. And I was like, holy fuck. I was like, so how was it, getting feedback as you're developing? How much of your original vision did you keep for small radio, big television, and how much was malleable as you went? Was there,
Yeah, no, to be honest, there wasn't a lot of, like, huge feedback on the game, because it's sort of, I don't know, I think as I was developing it, a lot of people didn't really understand what it was at all. Most of the feedback I got was, that looks cool, I have no idea what it is. And I'd just be like, yeah, I don't really know what it is yet either. Like, until it shipped, I was like, okay, that's what it's going to be.
So that's interesting. So you didn't know what it was, like, how long did you not know what it was going to be,
Well, I mean, I don't mean in the purest sense, but...
yeah, I don't think you're a child doing a macaroni fucking arch, like, gluing these pieces.
No, but it's when I did the first demo, it started out as a summer demo. I had some free time between projects, and so I was like, okay, I'm going to take 2 months and work on a weird game that I want to make, because up to that point I was just making sort of web games that you play on portals. And I was like, okay, I'm going to make a weird game for the web, and I'm going to put it out there and see if people like it. And from there, I just sort of started building on top of it, and I tried to plan as best I could, but when you're working by yourself, you really have the ability to go in any direction you want. Like, you never have to sit down with your whole team and plan out a year's schedule ahead or budget, or
you don't have to make the skeleton and then add the muscles and all that shit.
Exactly.
You can build as you're going.
Yeah. So I mean, I guess I could say it was organic, but at the same time, it was just because I didn't plan anything.
It still came together well. I saw that you were doing that, and like even us as like visual artists, like we'll post work in progresses sometimes, and the feedback on those sometimes is like middling to high, or I mean, no one's saying like you're garbage, but like at the same time, you'll get no comments on it or something, or no likes, or they're very few.
You just know that it's not quite going the direction you want.
What
I just wanted to hit on was, so for you with the development side of things, when you're like doing it solo and personal, because you have worked in studios before, so you've had the experience on both sides. And like, I guess this whole like you directing and controlling yourself is obviously a positive, right? But in the development process, I mean, obviously since all the work's on you, that's a negative and that's a hard load. But is there something else that someone wouldn't realize when trying to develop on their own that you would be like, watch out, like this is actually a downside to it that you should be prepared for?
I don't know. So one of the big things was, like I said, I was making web games before this. And with those, I would just make them really fast. Like, usually the game development span would be anywhere from, like, 1 week to a month. Yeah. And that's, like, at the longest. And so usually what I do is I'd work, like, nonstop on a game until it was done. And then I'd take a break for a couple days or a week or something, and then go back and do another one. Yeah. And I didn't really think to adjust my habits for this game. And so, basically, for 2.5 years, I worked nonstop.
It's still very impressive. There's other game out there, like Elysium was the one that the developer made,
Right.
like where he did the whole thing, the art
Yeah.
and the programming and stuff. It took him like 7 years or something like
Yeah,
that to build.
yeah.
Is that
The fact that you did
is that the one with the like
the fox
furry
dude,
character?
yeah.
And he's like, so yeah, okay,
Yeah.
that was really impressive.
Yeah, it was very good. But it's just for you, I was not expecting you to do this in 2 years. Like when you were like, it's coming out soon, I'm like, what? Again, math magics and you, and I'm just
Yeah.
like, how is he doing this?
Well, at that point, it's sort of I'm a very risk averse person, which is bizarre because I'm an independent developer.
You're
self-employed.
Yeah, no, and that's like the
Riskiest.
riskiest thing you can do with your life.
Yeah.
So I sort of balance that out by kind of hedging my bets to a certain extent because games, even if every game you've made has been a success so far, your next game might be a complete failure.
Yeah.
And I see these people working on games for 4 or 5 years, and I'm like, but your game comes out, no matter how popular it is, it might fail entirely.
Yeah.
And then that's like 5 or 6 years,
Yeah.
right? And so I basically didn't want to do that.
Because that sounds like a good choice.
So I was like, okay, I think I can make the game I want in this time span, and I've got support from my publisher, so let's try and do it in this time. I would have given myself more time if I were to do it again, though.
Oh, really?
Well, I've never worked on a project for this long, and I've also never done like planning for a project this long.
Okay.
And so there was a lot of holes I fell into in terms of figuring out how long milestones are going to take and giving myself buffer areas and planning for like packs and stuff like that.
Oh yeah, I should have put that on my questions. You went to PAX with it, right?
Yeah, last August 2015.
That's super cool. We want to kind of take ourselves there at some point. I was just curious about your own experience of being a developer there. Like, what was?
PAX was insane.
Yeah, it's an insane environment. I know that much, but I was just kind of curious to see the person from behind the booth kind of working out.
Yeah.
Right?
So luckily, again, I went there with Adult Swim Games, who were the publisher on the title, and so they set up all the booth. They had all the TVs. They did all the signage. They had all the controllers. They had everything worked out. So I basically had to like fly there and show up, and then just hang out in the booth.
Oh,
which was amazing because at the same PAX, the guys who made Keep Talking and Nobody Explodes were there exhibiting at the indie booth, and they were doing everything themselves. And so they had to like, you essentially, if you're setting up a booth at PAX, the costs basically work out that it's cheapest to go and buy a television when you land instead of renting one. So they had to like go out and buy a television and set that up and make sure their booth was completely working and then man it all day for like 3 days.
Yeah.
And
was it all the guys from here?
Yeah, the guys from
they're all
Ottawa,
from Ottawa. Yeah, that's kind of cool.
Yes, and so at the same time as I was just like wandering around, not having a ton of stress on me, I was like they were the only people I really knew there, so I would go and visit them, and they were just swamped and they were just exhausted. So it was really impressive to see them do it all themselves, while I had to do basically nothing.
Did you help?
What's that?
Did you help?
Oh yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Like I had to stand there and show my game to people and talk to them about it.
The thing is, I could just kind of picture you like back in game class, like with like a coffee, you're just kind of in a chair and just sipping while everything goes on.
It was like, yeah. I mean, in terms of labor, I didn't have to do anything, but I'm not a super social person.
No.
Like, I don't really like to go out and mingle with people.
Whereas I spent my entire years alone, and I have a husband. Like,
I would prefer to spend it alone.
Yeah, see, would prefer.
I always remember Indie Game the movie. I'm sure you guys have both seen that.
Yeah.
I always remember Phil Fish going to that, and he was like completely depressed after it and stuff. It always just looked like a nightmare to me. So I wondered. Yeah, I was like,
did you get diseased like everyone does?
No, because
No.
I think they sort of smartened up a little bit, and so there's hand sanitizer everywhere.
Everywhere. That's nice.
But yeah, like 3 days of, first of all, being away from home, which I don't like doing. Seattle's a cool place, but I love being at home with my family.
That's not cool enough.
And my dog.
Yeah.
And so it was being away from home all weekend and then just mingling with people, most of whom are like hardcore gamers. Yeah. Which I'm not. I'm a game developer, but I'm not a super gamer.
No, you've never been hardcore.
Which is an interesting combination too.
Yeah.
Well, although if you're developing all the time, you don't have time to play games. You know?
Well, it's the same thing for us, though, right? Like, I mean, for gaming on our side with concept art, you're removed in a level before you ever get into the dev cycle. Yeah. It's all conceptual ideas and working through just like creative space, and we don't get into that like that dev cycle. It's very, very deep and very hard. So it distances us from the games because I know a lot of people who are in the cycle who don't actually play a lot because making them becomes more of a passion than playing them. It's very, very common.
What I like to think about it is, like, I see a lot of people sort of my age, mid-late 20s, and they sort of grow out of gaming, which is understandable, right? And I think that's sort of what happened to me. Like, I was pretty into games when I was, like, a teenager and in my early 20s, and then I just sort of, like, they don't attract me as much anymore. There's other stuff I prefer to do, but I still love making games. Yeah. So I have this weird tenuous hold on the gaming industry. Yeah. And I'm sort of at arm's length, but I'm still connected to it, and it's a really bizarre thing.
Well, it's in relation to animation is exactly that. Like, when I was in animation, and the animation people, they can't watch animation films half the time. They're just like, oh, I see you're making the mistake here, and they just kind of block out bothering to go to a film at all. But they love animation. It's everything to them, right? So, like, sitting down and watching anything that's not of an extremely amazing caliber, right? Like, even for yourself today, if something came out that was just, like, so your jam and so your game, you probably might pop it on really quickly. But other than that, you really don't sit and play anymore, right? Yeah. It's the same thing for an animation guy. Like, really, at the end of the day, they go to Pixar films and, like, you know, like, that's it. Like, anything else is just horrendous and they'll never turn it on. I remember talking to animators all the time, being like, have you watched anime? And they're like, I would never turn that shit on ever. And it's just like, because it doesn't move enough and it doesn't follow the rules. And, you know, it's just kind of the same relation. Like,
the eyes are too big for the skull. It doesn't make any fun. Okay, all right. Yeah. No, that's actually really interesting. What was the last game that you got super into, out of curiosity? Was there anything
last one I got super into was probably Arkham Knight.
Oh, yeah? Okay, that's cool.
And then, because basically since last year when I played that, I've just been, like, crunching on this game.
Oh, for sure, Did you guys try Firewatch out of curiosity? It's a short game.
I tried it very briefly on Steam, and I haven't been able to get back to it yet.
To get back to your game and the publisher side of the thing, I was interested in how did you get a publisher? Like, how did you convince a publisher to? I mean, like, you're one guy alone, and I mean, your stuff's cool, but
it's also
still like.
But it's also a very esoteric game. It's like you said, it's like super chill. It's not like the norm. It's very like small indie title.
And you got a very credible company, like a very
Adult Swim. Yeah, Adult Swim like has especially over the last couple of years, have been known for putting out good games, and everyone's like, what the fuck? Like, Adult Swim's putting out good. Like, they were caught off guard by it almost. You know, like, they do TV. Why do they do? You know.
Yeah. So I guess first question is, how did you get them to agree?
Okay, so
how did you convince someone to fucking
people ask that a lot, and I wish I had a better answer, but
if it's a simple answer,
they came to me.
Oh, really?
Yep.
Awesome.
So you were talking about my Take Source devlog before?
Yeah.
Their Game Scout guy, Steve G, he just goes out and looks for games on the internet, and he goes on TIG forums, and there's a bunch of other games there that they're publishing, so you can tell that they kind of
go cherry pick from there.
Yeah, and so he saw my game on there, and he sent me a message saying, like, hey, do you want to be published by us?
Well, that's amazing.
And that's basically it.
Best case scenario, right?
So
how does the publishing side work? Because there's always a comparison between people being like, oh, indie's better and publishing is bad, or vice versa. Yeah. So how does the publishing thing work? Like, they come and they do what? Do they take it as their property?
Well, I mean, it depends what sort of publisher you're going with and what sort of deal you work out.
Yeah.
I think a lot of people who are sort of like boo publishers are thinking about like AAA publishers,
probably,
who I think have a lot of impact on the games that their developers make. But Adult Swim, I want to say, are the best. They were awesome to work with.
Great.
They were nothing but amazing. But yeah, basically they provide services like QA. They do like marketing and PR. They made a television commercial which aired on television.
Oh shit!
Which is something that most games don't get.
Yeah.
So because they're able to just like, we'll just put it on the television network that we own.
Real simple.
Yeah. No, I mean, like PAX, like I couldn't have done any of that by myself.
Yeah.
You know, I'm just one guy, and
Wow.
That's
really
fucking dope, man. That's
and and also Steam. I didn't have to go with the green light.
Oh yeah, that's true.
That looks like a fucking nightmare.
It is a nightmare. It's the worst thing ever. I've done so much like concept work for Contract for green light stuff, and then like it never makes it to the related day because of that. Yeah, it's not fun.
Green light. Yeah, I'm very not well versed in the Steam universe, but I like take one look at that. I'm like, oh fuck, like.
So if for working with a publisher, like, is it that because like the whole idea for a lot of indie developers is they start out and then they're trying to figure out how they're going to make their income off their first game, right? Yeah. And usually it's they release something and it's either like an asset on the asset store for Unity or it's a small Steam game or something like that. Yeah. And that turns out a little bit of revenue while they work on their larger title, right? But you were only on your game for these 2 years, right? So the publisher thing, that helps stabilize your like income and your lifestyle while you work on it?
Yeah, definitely.
Oh, that's awesome. It's I always personally, I've always thought the publishing side of things was a better option. Like, I get the indie and the self-empowerment and your own business and stuff like that, right?
If you can pull it off, awesome.
Yeah.
Like the Keep Talking guys.
Yeah, that's
They didn't have a publisher. They just worked their asses off and went to every single event for like 2 or 3 years while they made the game, and it was a massive success because they made an awesome game. Yeah. But there's probably 1,000 teams out there working on games that will make no money, unfortunately.
Exactly.
So.
It's like when the boom of the mobile market happened, right? And everyone's like, I'm making a mobile studio, and they're like, why is your game going to be more exciting and interesting than the 2 million versions out there, right?
Yeah, exactly.
But if you go with a publisher and they have some sort of support, there's this level of advertising and reach and then accessibility to things that you'd never reached before. Yeah,
because like we were talking about, there's so many indie games. Yeah. Like if you were to just make an indie game and put it out there and try and contact the press, unless your game was like mind-blowing, no one is going to write about you, unfortunately. And so with Adult Swim, we were able to work with them and this other PR agency, Evolve, who are in Victoria, BC. They worked together and they were able to get a bunch of coverage for the game, like on a bunch of major sites, stuff that I would never be able to do on my own, you know?
Yeah. Oh, it's very cool.
I wanted to ask about the art style of small radios, big televisions. You made a very visually cohesive game, you know? It's very, it's simple, but it's very, like, it's eye-catching, you know? People see it, and I've seen a lot of people talk about the visuals instantly, you know? Like, this game looks, like, cool. How did you come about that? You're a big shaders guy, like, I don't, like, were you just experimenting and you're like, that's it?
Basically. Yeah, I think the main sort of thing that makes it look a bit more interesting is I worked a lot on post-processing shaders. So I render the game regularly, and then I render all these other layers on top of it. So there's like depth of field when you're like turning the rooms around, and there's chromatic aberration, so the colors are a bit blurred on the edges, and just stuff like that. I really enjoy working with it.
It's super stylish looking, and like I think even to people who aren't into puzzlers or chill games like that, they still see it and they're like instantly intrigued by it. I saw like a ton of comments about that kind of thing.
I think the difference that I saw with me is that like I remember your style for all the things that you would work on, and I was like, this is definitely Owen's kind of jam.
Okay.
It was like because like you always had a bit of a retro kind of appreciation for a lot of the stuff that you produced in school. So I saw that. But the part about it that I always I found really interesting was that like I never got a sense of you having a craving for making like or even not an understanding. It sounds rude, but like you didn't put your head around art at any point in any kind of fashion. But this feels very designed, like it's very intentionally designed, which is really interesting as a developer because very few developers ever do that, right? What kind of like pushed you into being like I'm going to make this retro like tape cassette thing, and like where did that inspiration come from?
Well, I mean, I've always sort of been interested in art and design, but I have no training basically. Most of my 3D modeling and texturing stuff was just making Unreal levels when I was a teenager.
Which is good. That's a good start.
Yeah, exactly. So the only reason I know how to 3D model is because I basically started when I was 12. I just started like cramming stuff together, making terrible stuff, and now I can passively do some.
You're that 13-year-old? You're too late. don't start.
You're past your prime.
But I think the thing that sort of brought me up to a level where I felt I could do like commercially viable, like a level of art that I could put in a product and be like, here, buy this, not just the student project or something, was for the 3.5 years leading up to starting on this game. Like I said, I was making web games, and I would do all the art for those as well. So I basically...
Didn't you work with Gabe on a few of those?
I worked with him on a couple projects, nothing really came out. I think we did Bytown Lumberjack.
That's the one.
That's what I saw that on your website. That looks sick.
Yeah, that was a super cool game. That was super early on when I was like, maybe I can make money on Netflix.
So you did all the rest yourself after that?
Yeah, so after that I pretty much just did Flash games and then HTML5 games. And
it's so funny, I thought after that it was like Gabe doing all the artwork and you doing the programming, but it was all yours. I'm way more impressed with you now.
Well, that's sort of how I was able to have the confidence to do all the art and everything for this game, because basically after the first year I was like, fuck it, I'm gonna do everything myself, because it's tough enough being an indie developer without having to like coordinate with different parts of the team and schedule everything. So it's like, if I do it all myself, then I can just work on my own schedule. Yeah. And you can make crappy Flash games and still sell them.
Oh yeah,
yeah, for sure.
I mean, not anymore.
No,
you used to be able to make them. So like the first few games,
Newgrounds,
they didn't look great, but I could still sell them, right?
Yeah.
And so basically it was 3.5 years of me banging my head against Photoshop, and now I can kind of do art.
Yeah.
That's cool.
No, that's the thing. I always put that out to my students, and I always put that out to everyone out there as well. Everyone's always like, how do you get going? And I'm just like, just do a lot of it until you get good.
That's basically what I've been doing as an indie developer, just make stuff nonstop.
Yeah.
If you made something really shitty, release it anyway.
Yeah. And it's the same thing for artists out there, and all of our artist listeners. I know there's a bunch of you. Is like, everyone's always like, what do I put up? Stop bothering with perfection.
Yeah.
Stop bothering chasing perfection. Like, it's supposed to look like this AAA developer level stuff, and that was what makes me cool. I know everyone follows those people, and all you see is this amazing crap that they're turning out, but it's because they've been doing it for 33 years, right? Right now, release out everything you've got. I just put up a stupid sketch I did when I was bored during a staff meeting.
Yeah.
You know, it's not good, but one of the characters is actually cool, and everyone's like, hey, look at that guy. Now I'm going to redraw that character, and he's going to be, like, fun. And
It's a napkin doodle. It's Mike. He's, like, pointing at him. He's like, I'm a cowboy. Back to the drawing board.
Yeah.
No, it's like the quote about you have 10,000 shitty drawings in you before you get a good one.
Yeah.
You got to go through those shitty drawings.
Oh, yeah.
You got to make those shitty games.
Yeah. And for you, for programming, too, I mean, if you're going to put that to the devs out there who are listening, is, you know, like, for you, whenever you make code or you make something, like you're releasing those shaders you do and those GIFs and stuff, I'm sure you break and make horrible things, like, all the time.
Yeah. Because the great thing about, like, making those weird art GIFs that I put on Twitter is no one sees the code.
No.
No one even interacts with it, right? Yeah. It can be terrible code.
As long as it looks pretty.
As long as it looks pretty for, like, a 3-second loop, awesome.
Is there an equivalent? Because when you're painting something in Photoshop or drawing something, there's a large majority of the time where you're like, this looks like shit. And you just keep going, and, like, eventually you render it to a point where you're like, oh, it looks good. Or, you know, it finally turned out when you did the inks or something. Is there the equivalent to that in development where it's just, like, small radio big television was, like, collapsing in on itself and it was, like, massive clipping and polygons? Or
Yeah, like, most of the development process for, like, any video game, they look terrible.
My favorite story I heard was, what was that fucking game? It was on DS. It was the one where you could write anything in there.
Oh, Scribblenauts?
Scribblenauts, yes. They said like, yeah, for like 90% of development, nothing worked, and then all of a sudden everything did. And you're like, what the fuck? How did you think you were making a game for 90% of it then?
Well, it's because you sort of work on individual chunks, right?
Yeah.
So it's like you spend a month working on, like, navigation or something, but the rooms look awful.
Yeah.
Yeah, but I was thinking, like, with their game, it was just like, you know, they type Godzilla and it doesn't work, and they're like, okay, well, put in more Godzillas. You know, like, I don't know.
Yeah. Well, the visual implementation in a game happens, like, so late in it. And at the beginning, like, when the dev's working on it, it'll just be like, here's a tube, and then, like, let's make them walk back and forth for, like, a week to get that entire thing working, right? And it'll just be blank squares with nothing on it, and it looks like shit. But it's, like, in the last, like, few months, when finally all the assets start getting dumped on top, that's when it starts happening. And then, even then, that still all looks like shit until you get into the fancy post-processing stuff where you're getting the fancy lights in and all of the fancy texture rendering, and then like...
Well, it's like the painting. Like, the reason why it looks shitty for a lot of it leading up to it is because you don't want to put too much detail on it and then be like, fuck, no, I gotta redo this, right? So same with games. You don't want to, like, make this beautiful detailed level and then be like, oh, the navigation here is terrible. We gotta redo everything, and then you've wasted all that time. So.
And it makes it harder. So, like, for us, when we're painting, we have, like, 1,000 layers going of all that rendering, but you need to go back under 6 layers of rendering to fix something underneath all of it. When you're working on a game, you don't want to have all of that shit running while you're, like, testing whether or not the walk cycle can work, and then you're just like, and you're like, this hasn't been optimized yet.
Yeah, I'm working on VR stuff right now, and it's super tough because when you're working on regular 2D games on a screen, like, they're 3D games, but they're on a screen. And if you're running in debug mode, usually it runs much slower. So if you're running at like 10 FPS on a screen, you're like, this doesn't look great, but at least I can test stuff out. And if you're running 10 FPS on a VR headset, you just want to puke your guts out.
Yeah. Oh my god, I remember that.
So it's like you have to make sure that your code is running like top performance at all times. Which
you do the like. I always, when I was working on with the Oculus, was when it was on like dev mode and slow, I'd have it on the table and like look down at it while I would test stuff. Or if I had to, I'd just stick it on real quick and then take it off.
Yeah, I do that. The tough thing is that since I'm using a Vive set, it's like room scale.
Oh yeah.
And it doesn't fit in my office. It fits in like the dining room beside my office. Yeah. So I code something and then run it and then run to the other room and check it out and then put it down and then run back to my desk and try something else.
So I was gonna ask actually, do you have any plans for small radios, big televisions to be in VR? Because that was the second thing I saw the most was people saying, is this in VR? Why isn't this in VR? The Giant Bomb guys, I went to their site, I saw them talking about, this should be in VR. Yeah. So, like, you know, even them, they're demanding it. Are there any plans, or are you...
Maybe. I can't really say anything solid right now. PlayStation VR is very cool. I've tried that out. It would work really well there, but I can't really say right now.
That's totally fine.
Like, it's like, being a small team, you can be really agile and move around a lot, but at the same time, you can't say these are my plans for the future.
No.
Like, to be honest, I don't know what the next year is going to be. So.
Interesting.
Do you have to, for the game itself, as part of the publishing with Adult Swim, the game doesn't like belong to them. You're free to take it where you want to at this point.
With the agreement that I have, the game is like my IP.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. So like, if you wanted to like evolve it more, like even add patches or.
Oh yeah. Well, I mean, adding patches. That's just like development stuff.
That's what I say. Okay, that's fine. Like you don't have to get approval and then like. Okay. Cool. That's nice.
Do you think VR is the future?
No.
No?
It's cool.
Yeah.
It's neat.
It's 3D TV.
It's better than 3D TV.
No, but I mean, like, in the way that there's a hype, right? Like, all the TVs came out and, like, we all have 3D. And you're just like, nah. You know, like,
No,
I don't really...
VR is super cool. It's mostly enthusiast right now because it's cool, but it's not great.
Mm-hmm. And it's hard for the general public to just try. You know
exactly. So
like my mom and dad have no idea what the fuck they think I'm talking about jacking into a Matrix. VR, you know?
Yeah,
they have no idea.
That's what it's like. But I mean, this is what we're seeing now is just like first generation stuff. These giant boxes we're strapping to our heads, right? Once it's sunglasses, it's gonna be massive.
Yeah,
for sure.
It's going to take like an iPhone to come along, because like the mobile device world and cell phones, right? There were people debating between, even when we had like the last major cell phone was the Razr, the flip phones.
Oh yeah.
You know, and like everyone's like, oh, that's the latest cell phone. But even then, most people didn't have cell phones. Then the iPhone came out, and everyone's just like, and now we're locked.
I think even if you like had the very first iPhone in your hand right now, it would probably look like a piece of shit.
Yeah.
Oh, I can't say for sure, but I have a feeling if we looked at a device from 9 years ago right now, it'd be like, this is gross.
Yeah, exactly.
Yes, we would.
This is heavy and it's got weird design and.
Well, it's a question. Is that early adoption thing, right? Because with VR right now, because it will be a thing. It is essentially in whatever form it takes. It's the next step for like our screens, basically.
Yeah.
Because at the end, they can only get bigger and more resolution, and eventually our eyes only have so much resolution. So once you go past like 6K, and it's like, well, our physical human bodies can't consume more information. So like VR is the next thing, is to incorporate ourselves into it. And I mean, there's so much to do. Get rid of the nausea thing. There's a lot to do with VR that we can complain about. But excuse me. Like, do you think it's just like a fad that's going to happen now and it's going to cusp off and it's going to disappear for a while and then someone's going to come up with something? Or do you think that, like, as a dev, you should be planning titles to work around it? Because you did just do, again, check out his Twitter feed and also what other sources did you have?
I was doing devlog stuff on my Tumblr.
On Tumblr.
Which you can find on my Twitter. It's all connected.
It's all connected. So just follow him on Twitter and get
this stuff.
If
you can use the internet, you can find me.
But like you went straight to a VR game next. Like, is it in your head that you should be continually trying to focus in on that because it's just hot now and not later?
Well, it's not really specifically a VR thing. It's I'm trying not to become stale in my skills, because especially if you're working at a studio, you will be exposed to new technologies and other people working on stuff, and so your skills will sort of update as you go. You still need to sort of work on them on your own, but you'll be exposed to this stuff. But when you're working by yourself, it's very easy to just be like, oh, I'll just work on this one technology that I know and never adapt. And if I had done that, then I'd still be making Flash games, and I'd be homeless. Because no one is going to buy any Flash games.
No.
So, like, at that point, so when Flash games stop selling, I'd be like, okay, I'm going to learn HTML5. And so this is sort of a case of that, like, VR might be the next big thing. I can't say 100% either way, but it's like, if it is, I'd like to be able to have some knowledge of it.
Yeah,
absolutely. That's smart. You're future-proofing.
So we can't say, like, because I saw a lot of people commenting, like, going, like, oh, your next thing's going to be a VR game because you were working on that.
Yeah.
And it's not the plan. You were just doing it.
No, like I said, I don't know what the future holds right now.
Yeah.
The next year is a mystery?
Yeah, pretty much. What is the other thing I was going to ask? It's going to go back relating to your game. Is again, we're going back to like your inspiration for the game and getting into the theme that you had chose. How did you choose the theme for your game, and like what was the source for you getting up to that point?
So by theme, do you mean like story-wise or like...
Yeah, like story, and then because the visuals about it and the story about the whole thing, right, is very much into that retro videotape thing, which everyone loved, and then like the PR package that got released with it with the box.
Right, yeah.
That was so cool.
So that's another thing that Adult Swim did.
Yeah, if I had that, I would have just signed up. Would have been like, oh, yeah, you take the game, I just want the box. Like, that was super cool. Again, he put the picture up on his Twitter, you should check it out. But like that whole visual context, I think that was a huge selling point of the game. It was one of the first things that clicked into me, where I started seeing, because I saw your cycle all the way up, but then once it started forming into that, and I saw that PR package, and I saw the videos, and I saw the like this videotape thing, and it started to make sense because so many people had no clue what you were doing for so long. What made it into that?
I think the main thing that I tried to hold on to while making the game was I wanted to make a game that I would be interested in playing today.
Yeah.
So like I said, I'm not a huge gamer anymore.
Yeah.
So when I do want to play a game, I want to sort of relax. Like I don't really want to play Left 4 Dead and be sweating bullets until 2 a.m. anymore. Like if I sit down, like I want to just chill out on my couch on my PlayStation and play a game, you know, with no lives where I can't die, and I can just explore, and I can go to cool places, and I can pick things up, and I can listen to music. That's all I want from a game these days.
Journey, Flower, that kind of thing.
Yeah, I'm playing Hokum on PlayStation right now, and that's a perfect example of just a really chilled out game that you can just go around. There's cool music, you can bump into stuff. That's all I need.
Yeah.
And and then that married with the concept of these tapes that have virtual worlds on them, and that's basically where it came from.
Nice. No, that's perfect. I love that. It's kind of funny because a lot of the games today, like almost like we were talking about before with movies, where it's just always kind of the same thing, right? And then we were talking about it last week with our pet peeves one. It was like, you know, the blue beam in the sky or whatever. Every game at the end of the day is always just like, you're gonna go save the world, and it's just like the motivation for the bad guys doesn't even make sense in today's world context anymore, right?
Yeah.
And that's why post-apocalyptic is like everything, because everything's destroyed, so we can make up anything we want, right?
Yeah.
Which is also getting tiresome. But to make a game just based on like the sensation you like out of gaming, right?
Yeah.
And this is a question we'll go around. Like, I mean, we already know yours. You like the calm gaming. Like for myself, I like engrossing games. I want something that sucks the world away for me,
right?
And that usually happens with a strong story, right? But some sort of really encapsulating different gameplay mechanics. So, I mean, a lot of people didn't like Mirror's Edge 2. I really liked it a lot because I got a really sense of the height and the fear of the falling, and I was just so hooked into just not falling that I was playing around with like the edges of things and running and going fast and just like looking over and being kind of frightened by that. And that was my latest hook, right? And that's every game I love. That's the one that happens to be the one I love the most, right? And what about for you, Cal? Like, what's the mechanic that you're like every time?
I like when games like judge me really harshly. Like Bayonetta is like perfect. It grades you on every
It's
combat.
true. You do like that.
So it's like I got like a D or something in that battle. I'm like, oh, I kicked my ass. I need to go back on hard mode and get an A. Like I just need to. I get that feeling. Or even something like Mega Man. You know, the classic Mega Man games, right? They're just like super kicking your ass, and I'm like, I gotta get through this without dying or without getting another thing. Like that is what I like punishment basically.
Yeah, so it's basically like the opposite of what I'm after these days.
Yeah.
And it's not to say I don't like things like that. Like I like Firewatch and stuff, but like I generally gravitate towards these games where I'm like, they're like, you're fucking terrible at this. And I'm like, I'll fucking prove you wrong.
It's true because you like fighting games a ton, right?
Yeah,
which is a game that
Street Fighter
is pretty much obsessively judging you no matter what you do in that
especially
game.
online.
Well,
You know, play against those Japanese players, and I'm just like, I'm terrible. I've never been good.
You should never get into competitive gaming like anything else, like playing Overwatch and shit. I couldn't imagine you being in that.
No, that world.
You play those fighting games a lot, and it's kind of true. Like you play those because it requires you to just do it perfectly.
Yeah, you gotta get better.
Yeah.
Or at least better than the person you play with most. Chase Malcolm, you motherfucker. Oh, and I wanted to ask you, this is probably maybe a shallow question, but how cool does it feel to have a fucking game on PlayStation 4?
It's pretty fucking cool.
Yeah, right? Dude, like that must feel so validating. Like you know, it's cool, say, you know, as an artist, say you do a webcomic or something, right? You're like, this is fun, I guess I'll take my own thing, blah, blah, but then if, like, DC or Marvel came after you, like, we want to print your thing.
Like,
You'd feel validated. You know, you get
yeah.
this, like, sense of, like, oh, I'm doing something right, you know? Even if you could have, like, a million fans on a webcomic, and you're still like, am I garbage?
Oh yeah, like for me, my career is not ready, or like my big goal with my concept art side of my career is I have to be in a concept art book for the game, the art of a game. Until it's in there, I haven't done my job.
Well, when that happens, you're still gonna feel like garbage. Because even like with Adult Swim, like I love Adult Swim.
Yeah.
They're like they make my favorite shows. I still watch them compulsively.
Yeah.
And so like, let's publish your game. I was like, fuck, that's amazing. It's like my favorite media brand.
Yeah.
Because I love my brands. Wants to publish my game, so that was amazing. And then being on PlayStation, also amazing. But it's like, I still don't feel like, yeah, I'm good. I
don't think it'll ever be done. But it's like, you know, there's like that feather in your cap. Because like when we were back in school and we're sitting around and we're all dreaming about the jobs we were going to have one day. and we're talking about like that sense of accomplishment that we've achieved, that status of being like, yes, I'm a developer. Like, when do I finally feel like a developer? I still don't feel like a concept artist. I do contracts. I've worked with comic book artists. I've done all sorts of other work on the side, but like I still don't feel like I've reached that level to those out there that I feel like, you know, like you look at the for us in concept art, there's names that you can follow. I'm sure there are some in dev world as well.
Yeah, for sure.
But like I look at their careers and I want to achieve at least half of what that is. That I know that by a particular roundabout age, I've achieved that goal, right? And that's what like me getting my work into a book would be like, right? And for you, I'm sure getting yourself with a game that you're making as a indie dev, or well, you know, if you're an indie dev, for God's sake, you're an indie dev. Doing that, getting that out on a console in itself, and having that whole release, right? It's got to feel like, you know, I've done it. I am a dev. I am really. Like,
But I mean, there's so much work that goes into shipping a game like that.
Yeah.
Not even just making the game, but like going through QA and making sure there's no bugs and making sure it's performing well on the console and on PC and everything. Like by the end, I'm like, yeah, no, I am a developer. I did all that shit. It's like the fact that it's on PlayStation is cool. It's like I did enough work that it's like I don't even care anymore.
Yeah.
Do you think like other industries have imposter syndrome as bad? Like I've been a graphic designer for like professionally for like 2.5 years now, almost 3, and like I'm still like, am I tricking this company? Like, you know what I mean?
I'm always an imposter, even for the concept art for anything. Like I'm always like, I'll be like referencing something, and it's whatever I've drawn like a fucking squab on this page, and on this page, whatever I was looking at just had a beak by chance, and I'll be like, they know I'm copying, but I didn't do anything close to it, and I feel like I'm such a fake for copying.
I'm plagiarizing. I feel immensely guilty. Like,
but it's the same thing for design, because I've done graphic design, and my partner's a graphic designer, and every single time he makes a website, he's like, "Oh, it looks like something from Squarespace," and I'm like, "But that's because everyone likes that.
Yeah,
you're supposed to take those things. We're always going to be frauds.
Yeah,
Everyone
absolutely." Do you think like Robert De Niro is like sitting like in his apart? He's just like, can I really act? You know,
I'm sure.
I think he's fine.
And then he turns on his parents too, and he's like, shit. Do you have any final questions for Owen?
Let's see if I've got anything left.
Because I have one final one. If you don't,
I have. Where did your magic powers come from?
Consummate professionals here at
It's
the
more
podcast.
basically as a joke. It's one that I still make towards Owen until the day. It was back in school. I don't even remember where it came from, but someone mentioned magic math in our math class.
Math magician?
Yeah. And then you said mathematician, and I was like, that is the greatest word anyone's ever come up with.
You can. Watson is currently, my dog is currently climbing Owen.
Yeah, you can kick
scaling
him
him like a King Kong and a Statue of Liberty or something. Watson, come here.
But yeah, so like, and then I drew a picture of Owen as a math magician throwing numbers out into the world. But then you started producing stuff that no one else understood how it came from, right? And still today, like in most of the circles around Ottawa, whenever it shows up, Owen's name gets dropped as like the guy who does the stuff that no one understands how it gets there, right? And it is actually, that's basically the final question, is that you do work that most people in this city don't do, right? Like everyone's baffled on how you got there, right? And I guess as a question of where your powers come from is like, what made you choose to do the things that like no one else does? Like no one sits down and plays with shaders. No one.
Fuck off, Mike. How'd you turn "How are you magic" into a good question? Like I would have been like, "Are you Gandalf?" Like, end of sentence.
Well, I think it sort of comes back to just make stuff constantly and put it out there.
Yeah.
And that was driven by quit your job and don't have a source of income. And so
light a fire under your ass.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
I mean, that's why I started making games like nonstop. Is because like Flash games, they made money, but it wasn't good money.
No.
It was like money for the month.
Yeah.
And then next month I'd have to make a new game, and I have to get it done quickly enough so I could sell it.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's basically just like work nonstop until it hurts.
I was gonna ask, do you have any piece of advice for, say, some lone indie developer listening to our podcast? Is there any final words you'd like to give?
It's the same as what I just said. Just make stuff.
Make stuff.
Make stuff. Make stuff.
It's always the advice I give out to all my students. They're all like, "What is the secret?" And I'll give a second secret is networking. Like
yeah.
As much as you and I are both, and also Cal, we're introverts. We don't like meeting people. We don't like going out. We like we're game people. But go out to everything. I mean, you started, actually as a nice little pitch out to them, you were one of the ones who started Dirty Rectangles, right?
Yeah, I was one of the early guys helping organize the monthly meetups.
Yeah. Which is a great meetup, and it's still running to today. It's awesome. They get together. It's still at...
It's at the Avant-Garde downtown in Ottawa, and actually this month I'm going to be doing a postmortem for Small Radios.
Oh, cool.
Okay, well,
Yeah. So that is the third Wednesday, which is 2 Wednesdays from now?
Yep.
2 Wednesdays from now, which is...
Third Wednesday of January, whatever that is.
That would be January 18th.
18th. Yeah.
2017, if you're listening to this in the future.
Yeah, so if you're in Ottawa, go down and check that out. If you haven't been to a Dirty Rectangles and you're a dev, definitely go. It's a great community. I'm big behind that, obviously, since I run one myself. I wouldn't be against it. Or like sitting on the other side of the street, scowling, wagging my fist. And obviously go out this month and check out Owen's stuff.
Yeah. Owen Deery, thanks so much for being the first guest on the Pens and
amazing.
Pixels podcast.
Thanks for having me.
You've been a delight.
I'd love to come back. This is fun.
Absolutely,
Yeah, totally.
absolutely. You're welcome back anytime if you want to do some more newsy news with us and all our other shitty topics.
It's great. I learned so much.
Yeah, right? You know about James McAvoy's career now.
Yeah.
You might know who Ariana Grande is.
Next time.
I actually strangely know, like I never used to keep up with pop culture, and then I showed up for the first podcast, and Cal was just suddenly started like rhyming shit off, and he was like researching. So then I started going home and being like, I can't not fall behind.
So, thanks for listening, everybody. If you want to find Owen, he is on Twitter at Owen Deery. You can find him, I guess everything's through Twitter. There's Tumblr, all the posts and whatnot. I am on Twitter at TheCalG. Mike is at Mike Kent Draws. And Pens and Pixels is across all social medias. Pick your poison, Pens and Pixels, or Pens and Pixels.
Yeah, and if you're interested in Owen's game, it's, oh my god, I was about to flip it. What is it again?
Small radio,
big television. And it's on the PlayStation Store and on Steam. So make sure to check that out. It's a very great game, and just the fact to sit back and play something like that, you know, one man just churned his life out for 2 years, and his wife probably just going to, like, murder him.
She actually helped out as well. I didn't mention that.
Oh!
But yeah. Sorry. Yeah, so near the end of development, I needed some sort of environmental art, and she's a great 2D artist, so I sort of brought her aboard to help crunch out some assets for me, and she was a huge help. So, Katie Sheedy, amazing artist.
Yeah,
Check her
amazing.
out.
Awesome.
That
was a way better note to end on, a very sweet, kind note, rather than the one where you were going with this murder.
Well, I was going to feel like now she won't murder him because he gave her the proper pitch.
The Lack of Murder is a great place to end
Lack of
on.
Murder is a good place.
Goodbye, everybody. We'll see you next week.